What is going on, everybody? I forgot to put my I forgot to do the countdown tonight. Oh well, it is what it is. What's going on, everybody? Happy Friday evening, TGIF, man. Hope everybody is doing well. This is a long time overdue. This has been a long time coming. I have Tim from Online to Big Blue Sports Entertainment. People have been asking us for a long time whenever we're chatting one another, whenever we leave a comment on one another's videos.
I stopped leaving comments on your page because I didn't want to hear anymore. When are you guys going to do a stream?
When are you guys working together? Bad Dog and Tim, when's that happening?
Well, I always love it because then you get, well, you hate each other. I'm like,
yeah, of course.
I don't even know the man. Why would I even hate him?
Yeah, no, that's the internet. Everybody hates everybody on the internet. You know, everybody hates everybody, and everybody is a millionaire.
I got nothing but love. We got nothing. Well, that's a lie.
Of course.
It sounded good for a minute, though.
Yeah, of course. So anyway, Tim, just, I know that a lot of people in my chat don't know about your channel or who you are. So why don't you, plug your channel, tell us what you do, and we'll talk some Giants football, baby. That's what we do here. All
right. Well, of course, the channel is Online Big Blue Sports, and I think most people will probably figure out it's Talking Giants. I try to take it from a different perspective because I did spend a couple of years of working in the NFL and a couple of years in the AFL. So I kind of try to apply that knowledge, and those couple of years were years ago. Just try to give Alex Sports. I love you.
Yeah.
He's one of those guys who just comments and actually leaves good comments daily. But just like to give my perspective, I try to keep it light, try to keep it fun. Some people think I'm an a-hole. But you know what?
60, goes to the territory, man.
70% of the time, you're probably correct. But like I said, I've been doing this now since for about the last 18 months. So it's been fun. I've always enjoyed your channel, Chris's channel. Some of the smaller guys, they got great. I don't watch content anymore because I always felt like it would detract from my content if I had someone else's opinion. Right. I kind of like to just keep it as my own opinion, and like I said, and just try to have fun with it, and hopefully people find the channel enjoying.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't.
Trust me, I know, man. You have an opinion. Some people certainly are going to give you theirs if they don't like your opinion. And I always say, man, Chris and I do our show. We're all Giants fans. I mean, we may not all agree on the best way to fix the New York Giants, but at the end of the day, that's all we want is to fix the New York Giants. So obviously, we had a big free agent. We had a big free agency this offseason. Obviously, the draft coming up here a week from Thursday. Just want to say, Exhort, thanks so much, brother. Appreciate it. Brilly says representing Laker Dog. Yeah, Laker Dog will probably be back on Monday because tomorrow, I was just telling Tim before the stream that I am really busy tomorrow. I'm not gonna have time to do the Laker game tomorrow. That thing's at 4:30. So that really sucks. And Exhorter, man, thank you again, man. You're unbelievable, man. Brilly, brother. He says, go Laker Dog represent.
I missed it. Who won the Laker Knicks game?
The Knicks kicked their ass.
I know. I'm a Knicks fan.
So am I, actually. Yeah, I've been a Knicks fan since 1984. Nobody wants to believe that because I stream the Lakers. But, people are like, oh, Bad Dog's crying about the Lakers. I'm like, why? I'm a Knicks fan. I said, you can ask anybody in my chat. There's 2,500 people in there that know that I'm a Knicks fan. But I stream the Lakers because they play late at night, and I've streamed them for 3 years because I have a family. As Dire Giants fan would said, people are like, why are you streaming the Lakers if you're a Knicks fan? As Dire Giants fan said in one word, family. That's why.
There you go.
My wife is sleeping at 10 o'clock. They're not sleeping at 7, so that's why. But it's really awesome. So, Tim, when did you I'm not going to tell your age, but I know you're a little older than me because you told me how old you are.
I'll say I'm 52 years old. I'm proud of it, But when did I become a Giants fan? I know that's going to be the question, and I don't want to bore people because you go way back. I've been a fan since 1976. I was there when they opened the Meadowlands initially. That was the Dallas game. I mean, my father was a Giant fan. His father before him was. Which I always found interesting because they lived in Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania, which is a heavy Steeler country and a coal mining town.
Right.
And for them to go to the Giants, that was like sacrilege back then. And then it got even worse because when I was young, we moved to Washington, D.C. So my brother became, Washington football fan.
Yeah.
So it was a big mixture in the family. And a lot of people aren't going to know who Craig Morton is, but Craig Morton was a quarterback in the 76 season. And I told the story multiple times on my channel. I actually got a Craig Morton jersey from my grandmother for Christmas, and I cried because it was the worst jersey I ever had. And anyone who knows who Craig Morton was, Craig Morton probably is one of the worst quarterbacks the Giants have ever had. And it was just one of those things that you either became a Redskin fan. Oh, sorry, a Washington fan, or you became a Giant fan. So, like I said, I just followed my father, and I guess the rest is history.
Yeah, it's pretty much like my story too. Double Z, thanks so much. Appreciate it, brother. Brilly says, for the fan, Giants for life, definitely. So I was born in 76, and I'll be 45 in July, and I started watching them in 84. But much like you, father, Giants fan, grandfather, Giants fan. Of course, we've lived in New York, our whole life. Well, my grandfather and father are deceased now, but I've lived in New York my whole life, as did they. They didn't, as far as I know.
You came in a good season, so you came after 3-12-1, and we were 9-7 made the playoffs.
I got spoiled. I missed everything because from 1984 to 2011, they were pretty good. I mean, they might have a couple off years, but they were right back in the playoffs. Yep. They made 5 Super Bowls in that 27-year period, won 4 of them. And the last year's been really bad. And I was saying to a lot of people, I'm like, my son was born into. It's ironic because 76 might have been the worst year in the history of their franchise. They were 2-12. I think they lost 9 straight, right? You said they didn't score for like a month.
Yep, they didn't. It was, and it's something that, I mean, I was young, but I wasn't that young, but it was just one of those things that and nothing will ever be as good as a stadium as MetLife was. I mean, the Meadowlands was, excuse me.
Yes.
Because the old Meadowlands, literally shook. And even when the Giants were terrible, that stadium was always filled in the 70s, and it just shook from the rafters. But even when we weren't scoring, you would think in that initial season when that first opened, you would think we were going to the Super Bowl until you left the parking lot and went down the rotunda with those damn vents going down the ramp. And when you're like 9 years old running down those ramps, that wasn't. I got the battle scars to prove that was not really a great way to set up a stadium.
No, it definitely wasn't. But so 84, I'm 8 years old. They ended up being really good. I was born in 76. My kid, my youngest one, was born in 2017, which is the only year in the history of the franchise that they lost 13 games.
Yep.
And, of course, 76 or 79, the Giants are really crappy. Now they made the playoffs in 81 when I was 5. So my son will be 5, just turned 4. So he will be 5 here in next April. So I'm hoping they have a playoff run on them like they did when I was 5, and then when hopefully before he's 10, they win a Super Bowl. But this, I was kind of like, what's that?
Said fingers crossed.
But I'm bigger in like the last few years. This is what it was like to be a fan of the 70s, where they just couldn't win.
The 70s were worse. I mean, they couldn't get out of their way. I mean, and the reason why I cried because of Craig Morton, because we traded for him. We gave up the 2nd overall pick, who turned out to be Randy White, for the Cowboys, Hall of Famer. Yes. And then we trade him to Denver, and then he takes Denver to the Super Bowl against the Cowboys. Yeah. I mean, that was the Giants' logic back in the day.
And then he showcased his skills by completing as many passes to Dallas as
he did to them.
Yeah. So he did suck. That was actually one of the first trivia questions before when I was doing giveaways. Before I just started doing like random stuff, because trying to do a question in the chat was always difficult because who got it first? Sometimes I miss it. But that was one of my questions, was that the Giants traded Craig Morton to Dallas for their draft pick in 1976, and who was that draft pick? And it ended up being one of the greatest defensive tackles ever. But that is typically what the New York Giants did. So let me ask you this: speaking of quarterbacks, because a lot of people know, when did you start? You said 18 months. Were you watching Giants content creators before you made the channel?
No.
Or okay,
no, it's actually a buddy of mine. He wanted to do a Giants channel, and we always go to the games together. And he was like, "Well, he's like, everyone tells me I should be on YouTube." So I helped him set up a YouTube channel. We did the initial show. It was so horrid that we never put it on. And then he was like, "Well, why don't you do 1 or 2 videos, and then I'll jump in." And I think 110 videos later, he still hasn't jumped on. And the Lord knows, I didn't think anyone was going to watch. Right. I mean, I think I have like 5,700 subscribers now. I told my wife, I said, if 8 people subscribed and wanted to hear me
It is crazy. I've always said that too. I saw Dire Giants fan put in the chat the amount of people that have an opinion of what I do, especially with the Lakers. It's unbelievable, and it is to me always. I don't know if it's humbling is the word, but it's amazing to me that many people are interested in my opinion or care about what I do. It is a little humbling that many people you'll listen to a loudmouth Italian scream at the top of his lungs about the New York Giants, which is going to lead me into the quarterback situation. I don't know if you ever saw my reaction to Daniel Jones. It went viral. I was not happy about it. Pretty much my veins are coming out of my neck. Not happy that night.
The question is your opinion changed? I already know the answer.
It softened a little bit, but I'm still.
Soften's a good word.
I have had my relationship with Daniel Jones has been an EKG machine. We had that first reaction. Then I watched film on him, and I said, you know what? I think he can play. He's got the physical skills. He's faster than I thought he was. He's more athletic than I thought. I didn't know anything about Daniel Jones. I thought there was a bunch of BS. I thought they were blowing smoke because they ain't drafting this kid 6, especially if Josh Allen's there. And they did, and then I lost it, but got really high on him, especially after his rookie season. I said, man, this kid can play. This kid's going to get a little bit more consistent. He's going to take the next step. This kid's going to be a Pro Bowl quarterback. And then he played the season. And I went, nope. I'm worried about his mental. I'm worried about his processing. I'm worried about the speed in which he processes plays, the way he doesn't have field vision, the way he doesn't move around in the pie. There's a lot of things that worry me that can't be coached. His instincts concern me.
He has horrible instincts.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Well, good. I'm glad that we agree on that. I was going to ask you though, what was your reaction to when they drafted Daniel Jones? Like
a couple of days before the draft, you heard the rumor that there was a team that was high on Daniel Jones within the top 10 that was going to pick him. And all I thought to myself was, oh my God, don't let it be the Giants. And then when the draft started and Josh Allen, the defensive end, quasi linebacker, started falling.
Yes.
Oh my God, he's going to fall to the Giants at 6. I said, I cannot believe this. And I still have the Josh Allen jersey in my closet because I just assumed that, I was just hoping they were going to pick him.
Me too.
And then they picked Daniel Jones. And I wasn't upset. I was more like I understood because if you go back into Giant history, Ernie Accorsi will tell you, when their quarterback's there, you go and get him, which is why he went for Eli Manning because he lost out on John Elway, back in the Colts days because he was forced by ownership to trade him.
Yeah.
So I understood the pick, but I was always leery because when you watch you watch his Duke film, I didn't really see anything that was like, okay, he's a top 10 talent.
Right. I agree with that.
Then you add in the Cutcliffe thing and then the Manning thing, and he went to the Manning passing camp and he's Eli 2.0. But I don't know. I was more upset that we lost out on Josh Allen than that we selected Daniel Jones. And I always said to people, if we would have got him later in the draft, I wouldn't have had a problem. But I couldn't see taking him that high at 6.
I completely agree. That's what sent me over the edge was the fact I didn't think Josh Allen was falling.
No,
once the Raiders took Farrell, like, oh my God, he's going to be there. Like he's there. Devin White's going to Tampa. I mean, I couldn't believe it. And then when they said Daniel Jones, I didn't know what the hell to do. And I lost it. I see Jeffrey Abbey said the Giants drafted 3 Senior Bowl quarterbacks. Yes, they did Loletta, Davis Webb,
and
of course Daniel Jones. And I think the MVP of last year's was Jalen Hurts. Well, not this previous one, but the year before. I think it was And he stinks. I'm glad the Eagles took him because I don't like Jalen Hurts. And
it's good for the Giants.
Well, it's not even that. I'm a Sooner fan, so I watch.
That's right.
Yeah, I watched Jalen Hurts play all year, and this is before the Eagles drafted him. I said that kid's he's a 3rd round talent. He's not an NFL quarterback. He's not a starter. He'll be a nice gadget player.
Yeah.
And the Eagles, all of a sudden their fans are all high, and I'm like, you guys are insane, man. They're like, oh, he's got more talent. I said that dude threw 50% of his passes. He was 7 for 20 for 72 yards in a pick against Washington. Give me a break. He stinks.
Besides cheesecakes, what else is good in Philadelphia? And I live down the road from Philadelphia. Besides Pat and Garrett's, I mean, what else is Philly known for? The bell that's got a crack in it?
Right. I don't know. I just can't stand it. I hate the Eagles. I hate the Eagles with a passion. But I always credit the Eagles. Number one, there actually is a lot of good Eagle fans. There's a lot of good Eagle fans that support my channel, which I'm very thankful for. And They're just crazy. They don't. I don't think they think things through. They think with their hearts, not their heads.
I'll tell you a good Eagles story. We were at the Link in 2007, and it was towards the end of the game, and they have you have a ticket, but you don't have a seat. So it's basically like standing room only. So you walk around the stadium, and it was towards the end of the game, and there was this kid. I think he was like 5 or 6 years old, all decked out in Giants gear. That poor kid got the "FU" chant from the fans in the rotunda from when he left his seat to the bathroom to when he went back to his seat. And I remember my wife looked at me and went, because it was the first time she'd ever been there, and go, "He's 5 years old."
Yep.
I was like, I said, "That's just Philly."
Yep. Well, they're always like, "Man, are you coming to Philly?" I'm like, "I ain't going there." I ain't going there. Hell no. You're gonna come down to Philly? Yeah, no, that's okay. Al Bax, my man, thank you so much. Appreciate it, brother. Really. Yeah, I gotta go talk to you about that thing over there, and I gotta take care of that guy that knows the guy over there. He says, "Bad Dog, how are you, my man? Jones is good. Jones and Allen were in different drafts. Not quarterback, Josh Allen. Defensive end, Josh Allen. From Kentucky. The guy that dominated Penn State in the bowl game. That Josh Allen. That was
the Tom Coughlin ran up to had his guy run up to the podium a half a second after the Giants took Daniel Jones.
Yeah.
To make sure he didn't miss it.
Exactly. Yeah, the thing is, let me ask you this, because a lot of people are comparing Josh Allen to Daniel Jones, saying Josh Allen took a big step his third season because he got Stephon Diggs, and that's why Josh Allen wasn't good his first couple of years. Now, my contention is, like I said, Daniel Jones, man, I think he can play. I think Daniel Jones can be a very good quarterback in this league. If he starts to process plays faster and his instincts are better. But again, you can't coach that. That's just something he has to do on his own. To me, Josh Allen has a lot more talent. His arm talent's better. He's more athletic, and he makes better decisions. I don't think it's fair to compare Daniel Jones to Josh Allen because Daniel Jones don't have that arm. Daniel Jones don't have that physical raw talent that a Josh Allen has. So as good as Kenny Golladay may be, I don't think it's fair for Giants fans to think that Daniel Jones can take a step like Josh Allen did this year. What do you think about that?
I never understood the Josh Allen comparison. Josh Allen actually progressed, and I understand with Stephon Diggs and everything, but Josh Allen actually progressed from year 1 to year 2. He always it may have been incremental, but he made a step up. Mm-hmm. And to me, I mean, like I said, I am not a big Daniel Jones fan. I think everyone that's ever watched my channel knows that. I mean,
we're on the same page, and we get killed for that, but that's okay.
Yeah. I mean, outside of the fact that he has no pocket awareness, he doesn't seem to process the plays very well. I think the organization has a feeling that his mental fortitude isn't probably there. Besides the fact that he's not a scrambling quarterback, that, I know Pro Football Focus says that he is the best deep ball passer, but how many deep guys did he miss? And how many times did he didn't even look to the left side of the field and see guys wide open? I mean,
Tampa Bay's a perfect example of how
Tampa Bay, yes. And it's just one of those things that if Daniel Jones would have shown something more besides not turning the ball over, which I think was more of Garrett's philosophy of not putting Daniel Jones in a position to fail, and showed something more than that, then I would think, I would never say he's Josh Allen, to your point, because Josh Allen is a different quarterback. Right. Josh Allen actually can move in the pocket and understands climbing the ladder when the pocket's breaking down. Josh Allen is a creator. Daniel Jones, all of his big plays were on designed runs by Jason Garrett, which was taking advantage of the over-aggressiveness of the defenses. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, he can't create I've said it before, he's like a point guard who can't create his own shot. And then that's kind of what I've always said Daniel Jones was. And you got to ride or die with him this year, because if not, we're gonna take a huge step back. So I got my fingers crossed, and let's just pray and hope.
I think one thing, you said in one of your videos, you said you're not a Daniel Jones apologist, you're not a Daniel Jones hater, you're a Daniel Jones realist. Yes. And I could not have agreed any more with that statement, because when you said that, I'm like, oh my, I'm the same way. Like, yeah, I'm balls on the walls all the time. I'm an emotional guy. I am. I'm like this in real life. This isn't just. I'm reactionary. I'm a reactionary person. I will go over the top for things that don't need to go over the top for. That's just how I am. You can ask my wife, you can ask my family. I've always been that way. I'm an Italian guy. I mean, I don't know what to tell you. That's how most of us are. We're very tightly wired or whatever, But I want Daniel Jones to succeed. but again, it's the mental fortitude. It's the mentality. It's just everything's mental that I see with him. Physically, like I say, you don't need to have a strong arm. I do feel like he's accurate. I do feel like when he has confidence in what he's doing, he's very effective. I just don't see that confidence right now. He's young, but this is the year. This is it. It's make or break. And the Giants know that. That's why they went out and they got Kenny Galladay and they got John Ross. That's why I think they're going to focus on offense at number 11. And I'm fine with pretty much whatever they do. If they decide to go line, I can get on board with that. If they decide to go wide receiver, I can get on board with that too. But we'll see. I'm just, again, much like you, I always say I think I'm just a realist. It's not like I'm hating on him because people will tell you that I was very high on him going into this year. And I think that's part of the reason I was so hard on him this year is because I expected a lot more of him. I expected more of him than maybe a lot of people did.
I was on his preseason debut. I was on the sidelines, and I cheered louder than anyone else when he went in for that touchdown drive. Yep. I cheered when he replaced Eli Manning. Yep. And, I was just as pumped when he won that Tampa game. Yes. But then, like I said, you kind of, the way he played, you kind of ignored some of his flaws because he had flaws in his rookie season. And if you take a look at the film, a lot of it is because Pat Shurmur understands the fact that he had basically a one-read quarterback.
Yep.
What happened is with a one-read quarterback over time, you can make them successful. But it's the law of averages. What happens when that one read isn't there? And when he has to look to his left or a second or third option, he just doesn't progress that way. And I don't understand. I was hoping that he was going to get better in year 2, but he seemed to have gotten worse.
Right. That's my thing. And again, people will be like, oh, PFF says this, and he's a great deep ball thrower. And I'm like, listen, I'm not an analytical guy. I just watch the game. And people are like, well, the Giants get no separation. The receivers get no separation. I'm like, but
you get 2.5 yards.
But I'm like, but how do you know this? Yeah. How do you know what the separation is? How do you know that when they don't have a separation, when Daniel Jones delivers the ball late, that the receiver, that the cornerback catch up? Because you're supposed to throw the ball before the guy comes out of his break. The ball should be there when he turns around.
Yep.
It's not the Big 12. Wide receivers ain't running down the middle of the field wide open. It's
I love it when people are like, well, we're running too many curl patterns. That's why we're not getting separation.
Right. Yeah.
It's like, well, how the hell do you know we're running too many curl patterns? Because I watch the film sometimes, and I'm like, I'm seeing separation, and I think it was Louis Riddick that even said it during the season or towards the end of the season about the separation. If you're getting 2.5 yards of separation, you should be able to put the ball in that window. It's not like you're getting a quarter of a yard of separation between the receiver and the defensive back.
Right. So yeah, I mean and I agree. So that's what I mean. Just because where he's throwing the ball, there's not separation doesn't mean there wasn't separation at a time, or there's not separation on the other side of the field. Because when you're watching on TV, you don't see everything unless they show the overhead cam and you do see everything, but that's rare. Unless there's really a guy right open that you're like, hey, you missed it like in Tampa.
Like I said, like the Tampa game.
Yeah, right, exactly. Johnny, thanks so much, man. Really appreciate it, brother. Brilly's a Stella. Man, don't get a man. Stop bashing my Eagles. Johnny, that's what I do. You know that. I bash the Eagles all the time. He says, that's why my Eagles will continue to haunt you. And if you had no choice of teams, but only two, the Red Sox or my Eagles, I hope the Giants fall. Yeah, they're doing all the moves. If I only had those two for choices, Johnny, I just wouldn't watch sports at all. I could never root for either one of those teams at all. Rakeem, thanks so much, brother. Brilly says, I have a feeling Giants will take Micah Parsons. What do you think about?
You know what? I am a fan of Parsons. I don't know if how immature he is. I know, he basically in high school got charged with inciting a riot by yelling "gun" in the cafeteria. Then he's part of the hazing thing right now. This lawsuit that's going on from 2020. From a talent standpoint, he is someone that the Giants could use. We still don't have Robin to Blake Martinez's Batman. It's I am leery about going in with like Tay Crowder and Carter Coughlin and Cam Brown and I know we got Reggie Ragland and all that, but I think we could use Parsons. I think he would be a good fit. You worry about the immaturity because is it going to be like an Eli Apple when his mom is dropping him off?
Right.
Your mom drops you off your first day as a professional athlete, and your mom has to drive you. That should have been a red flag.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Well, I mean, I know that you said, because I think I asked you in one of your live streams, on the live stream that you were doing, and you said you weren't going to say, but if you had like a preference, say Devontae, let me just throw some names out there.
Okay.
Parsons, Slater, Waddle, Smith, Surtain. Like if those 5 guys are there,
I would pick one of them.
Okay.
I would pick one of those 5.
Is there a position that you prefer them to go after?
I think my wife is. I can't answer that question. That's
okay.
that's too personal. Come on, man. Don't get so personal here.
So we do.
It's interesting because right now I think I've said it a million times in all my videos. Bad teams reach for position,
yes.
And the Raiders were guilty of that for years.
Yes.
I think the Giants need to, and I'm not trying to cop out, but I think the Giants need to pick the best player available.
That makes sense.
And I've said it before. At 11, you're going to get a top 5 talent because of all the quarterbacks going. So we're going to pay a guy with top 5 talent 11th overall money. So I mean, I love Patrick Surtain, Jr. I've done many videos on him. Slater, I hate. I wouldn't touch Slater with a 10-foot pole.
Okay.
I mean, like I said, the arms being too short, that does not bother me. What bothers me is the fact is that right now, NFL evaluators don't understand if he's a guard or a tackle. And if you watch him, the first thing he does, he ducks his head at point of contact. And we had an offensive lineman that we drafted fairly high who's now in Miami. I'm not going to say his name, Eric Flowers, but he did the same thing. He would duck down, and that is a bad way to play in the offensive line position. I would take, and I've said this before, I would take a receiver,
right?
If one became available, because I think you can cure offensive line woes if you have multiple skill guys and they can't put 7 or 8 in the box. Right. If you can't blitz and get in Daniel Jones's face, and I said this during the season. Well, think about Daniel Jones. If you watch, and I love it because someone said, "Well, that's for all quarterbacks." If you put the rush directly in his face, and they started doing it towards the end of the year, he doesn't know what to do.
Right.
So if you're not bringing it from the edge, and you have someone that's containing the edge, but you keep the rush in front of him, he panics at times, and he doesn't understand to either roll to the left or the right.
Right.
But I feel if you get another offensive weapon, you can negate that, especially if you have a healthy Saquon Barkley coming back.
Yeah, I completely agree. Now, I did I've been saying I was going to do a second mock draft. Now I don't even know if I'm going to be able to do that, but I did do a mock draft, and I did have them taking Rashawn Slater. That's not my preference, but I just figured that's where they were going to go. When I did the pick, I'm trying to pick who I think they would take, something where I think that they should take it. Like my 4th round pick, Trey Sermon. I'm like, if Trey Sermon's there in the 4th, they need another running back. They need one.
They need somebody.
And Trey Sermon's like Wayne Gallman, just bigger. He's a downhill runner. And again, there's another Oklahoma guy. So there you go. Perfect example. But he averaged 7.5 yards carry at Ohio State. He was great at Oklahoma. And he's a downhill runner. He's 6'1", 215. As big as Barkley is, Barkley's a dancer. He's not really a trucker, and Trey Sermon is. So I like that.
Barkley's going to try to alternate his running style this year. And I know it's an instinctive thing, but because of the fact that he's coming back off the injury, and I think a lot of the last 2 years he was trying to do so much more than he probably needed to do. Now he got hurt on a freak injury, but I mean, do you really? I mean, back when Shermer, was there, he didn't excel until Shermer basically told him to stop the dancing crap and attack the pot.
Yeah, that's what
and run through. But do you think he's going to get that memo?
Again, it's hard. You can't coach instincts. That's something that's so overlooked when people are so into the combine. Look how fast his 40 is. Look how fast his shuttle time is. Look at this. Look at that. Yeah, but what are his instincts? It's easy to run fast in a straight line with no pads. It's easy to run a damn route.
I've said it before. I've never seen an NFL player during an NFL game just wear shorts.
Yeah. I mean, it's way different. So, but my point was this, and I mean, I'm going to ask you if this is a fair comparison. When I did the video on Rashawn Slater, I said that he projects better as a guard. We had a guy that we drafted 13th overall that was a little undersized, came out as a right tackle from Syracuse, wasn't good at tackle, moved to guard.
He had the little orange.
Good, just a few.
Yep.
I thought that was a pretty good comparison. I didn't like Justin Pugh at 13. No. So I do think there's a good possibility Giants do take Slater if he's there, because they do need offensive line. But I really wouldn't be on board with that. I would much rather have a Parsons. I'd much rather have a Jalen Waddle or Devontae Smith. And obviously the guy that I really want that's not going to be there is Kyle Pitts. I love Kyle Pitts. I love Kyle Pitts.
You know what? I see this a lot. Why? I mean, I've said it before. If you actually look at the scouting reports, Kyle Pitts lists out almost identical to Evan Ingram, aside for the fact that they say Kyle Pitts is more of a willing blocker. And I understand that he's going to revolutionize the position of the tight end, just like Eric Ebron did, when he came out and went to Detroit. But
right.
I mean, is he a tight end? Is he a receiver? I mean, you got a guy on the roster who's improved his blocking in Evan Ingram. I always go back to the Chicago game 2 years ago where I think he really found his own as a adequate blocker.
Yep.
But I mean, yes. And I understand everyone says there's going to be all these mismatches. Well, the NFL is not college. Yes, college, you will have tons of different mismatches because you got a guy that's going to be working at Lowe's,
right?
2 weeks later, but you also have gentlemen that are in the league that are high profile, high caliber talent. So he's not going to be able to dominate, in my opinion, with his physical abilities that he was able to in college. And he's only been really playing the position for what, a couple of years now? Because I think he was a defensive end, wasn't he, in high school before he switched over?
Might have been. The thing with me is this. Pitts is bigger. I mean, he's 6'6", Ingram is 6'3". I feel like he's just a better red zone target. I'm not worried about the speed. Yeah, he ran a 4.47, which is unbelievable. But to me, he catches the ball. Evan Ingram don't catch the ball. You put a Kyle Root. I was saying this before, and now I'll get to that 1 second, man. I really appreciate it, buddy. If your lineup at the set, you have first and goal from the 7. You have Galladay over here. You got Kyle Rudolph. You got Sterling Shepard, or you got Shepard. Well, they just said they go 2 tight ends. You got Galladay. You got Kyle Rudolph. You got Barkley in the backfield. You got Kyle Pitts. You got Darius Slate. That's tough to stop on 1st and 7. And you got Daniel Jones who can run. That's tough to stop on 1st and 7. To me, the Giants were so piss poor in the red zone this year. And they have been piss poor in the red zone for years. Wow. This is nothing new. I just feel like a guy like Kyle Pitts is that guy. Now, they did get Kenny Galladay, so they're going to say that this is, Daniel Jones' plexical burst, and they got Eli. But I just feel like if you had a pure tight end at 6'6", 247, or whatever he weighs, inside the red zone, that's tough to stop. It's tough to stop. You already have a good red zone target in Kyle Rudolph. You got an even better, a younger one in Kyle Pitts, and then you got Kenny Galladay. I just feel like that would give – and the tight ends are safety outlets. They're like safety valves for a quarterback. Jason Garrett loves to use the quarterbacks in the system. To me, Kyle Pitts is not just a freak of nature as far as an athlete goes and a tight end. I feel like he fits our system perfectly. This is why I'm so high on Kyle Pitts, and that's really what it is. I just feel like Jason Garrett, if you could make Jason Witten into a star, I can only imagine what he could do with – now, Tony Romo, Daniel Jones isn't Tony Romo, but I feel like Kyle Pitts could be a superstar with the Giants. I just do. That's why I like him so much, Al, thank you so much, buddy. I appreciate it. Briley says, dude, 4 interceptions were off Ingram's hands. 5 fumbles from free blindside untouched defensive ends, as far as Jones goes.
Yeah. I was gonna say, yeah. You can, like I said, I'm not gonna keep. Evan Ingram is another guy I always go after, but I think you just reach a point with Daniel Jones and Evan Ingram. They are what they are. They are who we thought they were. I mean, it is. You could point out what they've done, but the problem is we have to look forward now what they can do, because hopefully they've put everything behind them from last season and we're moving forward, hopefully into next.
Right. Yeah. I definitely have more faith in Daniel Jones than I do Evan Ingram. Evan Ingram been in the league 4 years. He still can't catch. And this is the most basic thing. They could talk about a miss, but I have so many people say that, and I don't laugh, but I'm kind of like, I don't understand the thinking behind so many people are like, Beto, why don't we move Evan Ingram to wide receiver? You need to catch the ball. I don't care if he's a running back, a fullback, wherever he's playing. If he's a receiver on a route, he needs to catch it. It has nothing to do with where he's lining up. He's a mismatch. We've seen him open all the time. We see Daniel Jones try to get the ball to him all the time. He can't catch it. And when he does catch it, he fumbles it. So, or if he doesn't catch it, he bats it up in the air and it's intercepted. Like he's a disaster. And so many of them were and not only does he do this, they're the most ill-timed mistakes. Yeah. Absolute momentum killers. They're like the most inopportune time, so they're magnified that much more. I don't know. To me, he's mentally weak. That's all mental.
Yeah, I mean, but my thing is this, and I'm curious to know what you think about it. Everyone's like, "Well, trade him, get rid of him, just trade him." Okay, he's in the 5th year of his contract, and I love people like, "Well, we'll get a first and a second rounder for it."
Well,
what are you literally going to get for Evan Ingram? I mean, are you going to get a bag of chips and tickets to rent? I mean, I don't know what you're going to get for him that people think that we should. I understand keeping him this one last year and maybe building his value up and trying to move him maybe in week 6 or 7, but I don't know about you, but I don't think they're gonna. I don't think there's many trading partners going, "Wow, Evan Ingram's available. We need to go call the Giants."
The one team I could see them making the trade for is Jacksonville. And I've said this, maybe Jacksonville will give their early 4th round pick for him because they're going to draft Trevor Lawrence. Maybe a change of scenery helps Evan Ingram.
And think about
that was my point also with Pitts. You take a tight end, you can trade Evan Ingram. You could save $6 million because there's no cap hit for him getting traded this year. He has no dead cap. Yeah. And we're not re-signing him. That's another reason I'm all, high-end Kyle Pitts. So Kyle Pitts ain't going to be there. Kyle Pitts is going to go top 5. I can just see that happen. Everybody's high on this kid. So, I'd be shocked if he gets, there's talk about Dallas trading up for him. I would love that. I hope Dallas does do that. That would be great. Now, I also hear Eagle fans, making their videos talking about how they're going to look to trade up into the top 10. Let me ask you this question. The Eagles draft 6th overall. Right. Then they trade back to 12th. And now they're trying to trade back up into the top 10. What in the hell are they doing? What is the point of that?
I have no idea what the organization's doing from any perspective because you get rid of your Super Bowl head coach and I understand the whole, and I hate when Giant fans, well, we would have made this, we may have made the playoffs if they didn't do what they did with the quarterback switch. It's neither here nor there. You win the games, you win either in, against Baltimore or Arizona, or we don't drop the ball, a couple of games, we don't need to worry about that game being there.
Exactly.
And I didn't think it was that. I can't say that he wasn't tanking, but I didn't think it was a fireable offense. And I know, Lurie, the owner, was like, well, we didn't have a good discussion, so we just got rid of him. The guy just won a Super Bowl a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
He's done so much with a unique set of talent that it's just like it doesn't make sense. And then for them to make the trades and then want to trade back into the top 10.
Yeah, I don't get it.
I think they're snorting too much cheese on that cheese snake because I have no clue what you would even think about or even want to give up the assets. And the fact that you're still in salary cap purgatory.
Oh God. Yeah.
I mean, it makes no, well, it's the Eagles. I was going to say it makes no sense, but it's the Eagles.
Yeah, and that's the funny thing. Their fans, a lot of their fans are high on Jalen Hurts. And they're, Jalen Hurts this, Jalen Hurts that. I'm like, you do realize that you traded back because you tried to trade up Jets to get Zach Wilson because they have your front office has no faith in Jalen Hurts. So I don't know how you could possibly sit there and say you have faith in him. That's why I always fans like you just hate him. Jalen Hurts. It has nothing to do with that. I knew I was not going to believe in him no matter where he went unless he went like in the 4th round. I just didn't like him out of Oklahoma. He's not Baker Mayfield. He's not Kyler Murray. I think Spencer Rattler will be better than Jalen Hurts.
How much like Carson Wentz, though? I mean, he's got to be smiling. I mean, he goes to India.
Carson Wentz can have he'll do great. I mean, he's reunited with Frank Reich. That was the biggest loss that they had. Was that Eagle fans didn't look at that. Frank Reich was the reason that Carson Wentz kind of started to go down. It wasn't Doug Peterson. It was the loss of Frank Reich that hurt him. And I always say with Eli Manning, I know Eli Manning was up there in age. I know that the Giants' offensive line was deteriorating around him. I get all that. To me, Eli was never the same after Tom Coughlin left. I feel like that took Eli's heart away. I don't feel like Eli was always motivated, but I felt like that was a big loss for Eli Manning. It was the only coach he ever played for in the NFL. He loved Tom Coughlin. He was a father figure, all this stuff. And you lose that. Because he had 2 of his best statistical years when McAdoo was the offensive coordinator.
Yeah, he had 30 touchdowns, 35 touchdowns, and 14 receptions both years, over 40-something hundred yards. I mean,
exactly. He was great. And the Giants weren't good, but he was really good. I just felt like Eli never, I felt like he lost something when Coughlin left. And I feel like that happened to Carson Wentz when Frank Reich left. Carson Wentz still has a world of talent, and I would not be surprised if he stays healthy that he's really good for Indianapolis. think that was a good move for Indianapolis. So.
Now, do you think his decision-making process is just as screwy as Daniel Jones, or do you think it was just an aberration last year? Because you look at some of the plays both those quarterbacks made, even earlier in the season, you were like, you know what? I mean, Carson Wentz single-handedly kept the Giants in the game at one point.
Yeah, he did. Maybe the injury messed with Carson Wentz. And that guy was playing at an MVP level before he tore ACL. So that's also, I don't think Robert Griffin ever recovered from that. Sometimes people don't recover from the torn ACL. Sometimes in the back of your head. I hope that don't happen to Saquon. It's a serious injury, man.
That's why I didn't go pro. I tore my ACL, and it was that and lack of talent. You know, that was good.
Yeah, I just had I was just lack of talent for me. There was no tearing of any muscles. I just, football, not my gig. Rakeem, thank you so much. Appreciate it, brother. Brilly says, wouldn't mind giving Rosen a shot if DJ plays horrible. What is the deal with Josh Rosen?
Isn't he with San Francisco?
Did he go to San Fran? Well, it's just weird that.
Oh, he was still in San Francisco.
Well, he was in
Miami.
And then he went to San Fran. But it's just weird that the Cardinals traded up to get him. 1 year later, they were done with him, and now the guy can't find a team. It's just weird how that guy was a top 10 pick. Some people had him going first overall.
Yeah.
And he just it's weird. I don't know much about Josh Rosen.
I hated Josh Rosen coming out, and I remember when the Giants were looking at him. I was like, please do not pick this guy, because if you knew anything the way he acted in college and how he was with the media there, it's like there's no way in hell he would survive in New York.
Rivers wouldn't either.
Oh, Rivers. No, Rivers with his volatile attitude. It would have been interesting, though, Rivers. It would have been Parcellian press conferences sometimes to think of Rivers.
Yeah, Parcells was great with the media. Man, I love those guys. And Belichick's the same way. Ditka, they don't take no crap. You know, I always love Nick Saban. You know, it's just funny. They're all those guys I just mentioned are great coaches. They don't take any crap. I could not stand Pat Shurmur. No, we got to look at the
Pat Shurmur.
Got to go look at the tape. What happened out there? Well, we got to go look at the tape.
Yeah.
Are you not watching the game? Why do you have to go look at the tape? Are you not watching it? Like, how do you not see what the hell is going on out there? That always worried me. Well, I got to go watch the tape. What are you doing during the game?
Well,
we can see what the hell is going on out there. You're the head coach.
His shit didn't stink when they won. He was the genius. But the minute they lost, it was everyone's fault and the media's fault that they had the audacity to ask him the question of, why did you lose this game?
Yeah, it's crazy. By the way, I see a lot of people tell me the Yankees lose 8-0. I have the game on there. And as we were going live, I saw Gio Urshela make an error, and then I saw another error on the throw home. Again, guys, I put it in my community notes. I am starting a Yankee podcast, be like an hour on Saturdays. That's what I want to do at 10 o'clock tomorrow. We're going to talk about the Yankees, and trust me, when I do these shows, well, obviously it'll be a Q&A. We'll talk about it, but trust me, they're going to get it. Like, everybody been waiting for me to rant on the Yankees. Well, we're going to do that tomorrow because this team is pathetic.
You're going to save that.
What's that?
So you're going to save that.
Yeah, I'm saving it for the 5-8 Yankees. Al, thank you so much. Appreciate it, brother. Really, my man. It says San Francisco has 5 quarterbacks now, and yes, Rosen is still there. But Dan is our man. Stop smoking all. It ain't allowed where I am. 420 crew, you know what to do. Smoke them because you got them. It's all right, Al. 420 is all. And Johnny, you're the man. Thank you so much, brother. Brilly says, Bad Dog, ask online Big Blue. Ask him, is his hate? I was going to ask him this, actually, but now I'm glad you brought it up. He says, is his hate like yours against my Eagles? Also, Giants fans trash my Eagles, but the Giants have been moonwalked throughout history. Don't forget the miracle of the Meadowlands, not once, but twice. Who do you hate more in our division?
Who do I hate more? I actually, if I had to say hate, because that's an ugly word, but I do hate the Cowboys. I don't hate the Eagles because of the fact that, and I was at the miracle of the Meadowlands. So I'm not going to say
the Herm Edwards or the Deshaun Jackson.
Larry Zonka Turner couldn't just take a knee. That was just freaking crazy. Why do we do that? But I actually like Philadelphia, and I should rephrase that because I go to a lot of Sixers games, or I did before everything that happened. So I'm a quasi Sixers fan for like the last 7 years because my friends got courtside seats, so we would always go to the games. But I mean, yeah, I hate the Eagles for certain reasons. Deshaun Jackson's one of them. Going back a little further, Randall Cunningham's another one.
Yep.
I never liked Ron Jaworski except when he let me play for free on his golf course that's over in Central New Jersey. So then I thought he was the greatest quarterback in the world. But
I always liked when Lawrence Taylor beat the hell out of him.
That was always a fun Sunday.
It was, yeah, that was good. Not for Jaworski, but for
us. Screw him. He's got a terrible golf course. It used to be a 9-hole golf course, and he tried to move to 18. He tried to grow. It didn't work in his Eagle career either. But like I said, I really do hate the Cowboys. I mean, if I had to sit there and say there's one team I don't want to watch or there's one team that I hate losing to, it's going to be Dallas, and that's going back to the old Tom Landry days even with Roger Staubach and Danny White. I mean, I couldn't stand playing them.
Yeah. See, for me, I guess it started with Buddy Ryan. I hated Buddy Ryan, and I hated. I actually liked Randall Cunningham, even though he killed the Giants. I actually liked Randall. Jonathan Turno, the Phillies. I mean, he sent me an Eric Allen jersey, which was really nice because Eric Allen's my favorite Eagle of all time, and I always said I won't wear that. I do have a bet with the content creator named Philly 500. I don't know if you know Philly 500. So he streams every week like we do with the Giants. He does with the Eagles.
Wait a minute. You have a favorite Philadelphia Eagle player?
Yeah.
How do I turn this off? All right, good night, everyone. We're gonna close it.
I had to pick a favorite Eagle because people would ask me like, "Who's your favorite Eagle of all time?" It was Eric Allen because I always liked second. I played cornerback in high school, so I always liked corners and safeties. But so my bet is if the Giants win the first game, Philly 500 needs to stream a second game against the Giants in Giants gear. And if Philadelphia, unfortunately, wins, I'll have to stream the second game in that Eric Allen jersey. So, but yeah, I hate Philadelphia. But I always say this. I have to thank Philadelphia is a big reason my channel is where it is today. When I was starting YouTube, I was nothing more than just a trash talker. I didn't really do live streams. I didn't do any of this stuff that I do now. I just talk trash to video makers. And when the Giants are 3-13 and the Eagles won a Super Bowl, that was it. No mas. I had to tap out. I was like, I can't do it. And that with the combination of my son being born, that'll definitely change your attitude towards a lot of things. But they're a big reason that my channel grew. So I guess as bad as that was, it was a good thing.
Hold on, I'm gonna take a note. Trash Philadelphia for channel to grow. Okay.
All right. No. I always trashed them. But
wait a minute. So hold on. I'm gonna write that down. Now, what am I writing down now?
No, I used to not just trash Philly. I trashed everybody, but really laid into Philly. But I couldn't do it the same way because what am I going to say? When we were 2-11 and they were 11-2, every week you were supposed to come out and talk trash to the other. I'm like, how the hell can I say this team has beat us for 10 straight years? We're 2-11, they're 11-2. What am I supposed to say? How can I talk any trash to that team? Couldn't. And that was
95 sucks. There's too many potholes. There's too much traffic in the city. I can think of a lot of reasons to hate Philadelphia.
Yeah, well, the city, sure. I haven't been there since I was.
I understand. I think it's funny though because you see, I don't have many Eagle fans coming over to the channel, and I laugh because now maybe I know why.
Yeah.
But it's one of those things though. You're right though. I mean, what are you supposed to say if you're sitting there at 2-12?
Can't say anything to them, So I had to kind of change, and I was like, that's right. I'll just talk about sports. I still pick on them. I'll still come out here and talk a little trash to our opponents, but not the way I used to, And like I said, man, I do have a lot of really good Eagle fans that come to this channel that are just good football fans, and I hate their team, but the fan base is a lot better than I thought it was. I can say that honestly. So, Demon, thanks so much, brother. Really, yo, fellers, New York Giants has good odds to make a division-winning team based on the signings and what can be done in the draft. Fix the O-line, build the defense, add depth to the offensive weapons, and obviously not an Eagles fan either, as you can see. But yeah, I think the Giants still have some holes to fill. I like our chances this year. I really do. But, as we talked about earlier, I think most of what we do is going to hinge on Daniel Jones. And if he can take the big step in year 3. Because if he can't, we're in trouble. Doesn't matter.
Do you think not Philadelphia. Do you think Washington improved enough with Fitzmagic coming over and everything else that they're? I mean, they're a quarterback away. Their defense, I think, in some regards, is a little bit better than the Giants' defense, especially on the front seven. But I mean, have they done enough to be? And same with the Cowboys. I mean, the Cowboys, their defense was atrocious, and that's what stopped them. I personally think that Dallas is going a cornerback in the draft.
They should
to try to fix the sieve that they call a defense. But I mean, have the other teams improved, in your opinion, any more or more than the Giants? I mean, do you think it's going to be a 3-team race, or do you think someone, hopefully it's New York, is going to pull out in front?
I still think it's a 3-team race, but I did mention this. I did a video on how PFF, I think it was PFF, and I think you actually mentioned this, but on the video, but that they picked the Giants to finish third in the division, barely ahead of the Eagles. And I say in the video, every team's got holes in this division. Washington don't have a quarterback. I don't see an upgrade from Alex Smith to Ryan Fitzpatrick. I don't think there's an upgrade there. I actually think Kyle Allen will be a better option than Fitzpatrick. Now, we don't know what Washington's going to do. They could make a big leap into the top 10 and maybe try to get.
That's what I'm worried about.
If a Fields falls to 9, well, Denver would probably take Fields there. I can't see Denver trade, but you never know. Don't let's talk about Dallas taking Kyle Pitts because they're trying to block him from the Giants. I'm like, please do that. Please take Kyle Pitts. There's one football. So it doesn't matter. You can score 30 points, but if you're giving up 35, it doesn't matter. That team was 2-3. And they really could have been 0-5 at the beginning of the year. We blew the game against them. We were up 30-20. We blew it. And the Falcons blew a 4-touchdown lead in the fourth quarter. They could have been 0-5 with Dak Prescott. So they're all like, well, we didn't have Dak Prescott. Well, it's not like you were great with Dak Prescott. You scored a little bit more. But your defense was still a problem.
He wasn't going to play corner. So, I mean,
right.
that was the issue.
So, yeah, I think the Giants definitely improved more than the other teams. But I think that, and not to mention, again, Saquon Barkley, man. That was a big loss for us. That's also something that it's not really a free agent move, but it's a huge addition if he can play all 16 games. I mean, I don't know. When do you think he's going to come back? He didn't have that surgery until October 30th.
Well, he had to wait for the swelling. I mean, I have had an ACL and an ACL replacement along with repairs of the meniscus and mid-meniscus going back from college. So, I mean, and like I said, when I had surgery in college, it was archaic. I mean, you didn't come back for like 18 months. I came back in 12 months and then tore it during summer practice again. But it's not like that anymore. And you look at someone like, Adrian Peterson, who came back like in 8 months. Yeah, twice. Twice. I think it's going to be more how much I think physically he will be there in a short period of time. But I'll tell you firsthand, it's the mental aspect. Mm-hmm. I mean, once you got, I think sometimes that I actually got hurt that second time because I was so concentrated and so focused on not getting hurt that I just, I wasn't playing at full speed. And the next thing I knew, I tried to plant and make a move, and then I'm laying on the ground again. So I think if he can get over the mental aspect of it, I think he could come back full strength. And I think it can be within a year. I think he'll be there at the start of the season because, like I said, it's not like it was back in the day, man. You heard ACL like back in the 70s, even in the early 80s and late 90s. It was you were at least 18 months before you could even come back again. Yeah. But if he can't, I think he'll be fine for the start of camp.
Oh, that'd be awesome. I mean, again, it'd be a huge addition. By the way, guys, you got almost 250 in there, so thank you again so much for being here and watching. Appreciate it. If you haven't subscribed to Online Big Blue Sports Entertainment, link is in the description. You can go in there and subscribe that way. Or look at that. This is why Dire Giants fans demand. I mean, no sooner do I even start that. He puts your link right there. So you don't even have to go. You don't even need to go into the description. Dire Giants fan just put the link right there. So make sure you guys subscribe to Online Big Blue Sports Entertainment, because as I said earlier, for probably a good year now, everyone's like, when Bad Dog, a collab, guys? When are you gonna do a collab?
You know what? I've said it before. I would cringe sometimes. Not that you left a comment. Well, that could have been the reason too. But I would cringe because I knew what was coming next, and it was always, and like I said, I would get the emails and the DMs like, you hate each other. I'm like, and I felt like saying, yeah, I freaking hate that guy. I don't know why, but I don't like him at all. But I'm just glad you had me on. I appreciate it. Like I said, I didn't start doing any live streams till about a month and a half ago.
Yeah.
Because for the first 13 months, first of all, I couldn't figure out how to do a live stream. But I was just like, I don't want to, I just kind of like doing my thing and being I don't know, kind of in the back, because my channel has enough. We have enough problems as it is. I say too many things I probably shouldn't. Or I like one person that summed it up best. Your problem with your channel, he goes, you know what that is? And I said, well, we have many, but you're going to tell me what it is. He goes, you are too reactionary when something happens. You need to wait a couple days after the fact and then say what you want to say, because you're not wrong. You're just saying it too soon.
Yeah, but that's the thing. And I mentioned this too before we went live. I'm not looking to be an analyst. I'm not looking to be politically correct. I'm not looking to break down film. I'm a fan. My channel is that of a fan. Fans are reactionary. Something happens, they react. If Daniel Jones fumbles 3 times, I'm not going to sit there and go, well, let me wait a couple of days to see how I feel about it. No. Just like 75,000 people at MetLife Stadium going, boo! What are they? Oh, don't react. Wait till Tuesday.
You'll feel better.
Come on. Just like the Yankees sucking over here. What am I going to do? Well, let me wait a couple.
Well, no, don't react till tomorrow's podcast.
Yeah, well, I'm going
Save it.
I'm going to react now. I saw John Cole stand at the 2-run homer. So all the analytical geeks will come out and go, well, look at Stanton's OPS. Look at his exit velo. Yeah, he hit a 2-run homer when it was 8-0. Awesome. How about when it
looks better in the stat sheet?
Right. It's just, it just cracks me up. Al Bats, yes, this is Big Blue Sports. Big Blue. Let me get this off here. Where did this thing go? There you go. Online Big Blue Sports Entertainment. That's
well, I sometimes I want to take the entertainment out because I don't know how entertaining it is. But I got a question for you though, because you are a Sooner fan.
Yes.
I just did a video on Ronnie.
I love Ron Perkins.
Okay, so yes. What do you think about the Giants? And I've said he would be someone that I would potentially want to target, maybe the 2nd or 3rd round if he's available that deep in the draft. Mm-hmm. I mean, do you think that he fits into the Giants scheme? Because I think personally he's the kind of guy, and I've said it before, I think with Patrick Graham, what we did last year, we went defense by substitution, and you can only do that so long before the league catches up. But right. I think this year he's going to go defense by versatility, which is basically allowing multiple players to play multiple positions. So they can't key on, okay, we got the film that when Tate Crowder's in, he's going to do this. We're going to move him someplace else now. But what do you think about Ronnie coming over to the Giants? I mean, would it be a fit? And B, do you think he would even be there in the 2nd or the 3rd round?
I think he'll be there in the 2nd. I don't think that he'd get to the 3rd. And I'm not sure how versatile Ronnie Perkins would be. I feel like he's just a straight rusher. And but the thing is, I think we have enough guys that are versatile. Like, I think there's enough interchangeable parts with the New York Giants defense where they could just add a Ronnie Perkins and just let him do his own thing. Like, he doesn't have to.
I think he could play linebacker. I think he could play a right side linebacker.
Yeah,
and of course, I think he can go to his 3-point stance, but I think, he has the versatility that I think he can either play with his hand in the dirt or rush from. I mean, he's never going to be a Lawrence Taylor coming in, but I think he would offer that sense of versatility. And it's not that I don't trust Tate Crowder Carter Coughlin to me turned the corner in that Seattle game because he single-handedly held the edge against Russell Wilson.
Yep.
So, and I was wrong about Karner Coughlin because I didn't think he would have the speed to do that. But I was just thinking the other day, if you have Ronnie on one side and Karner Coughlin on the other, even at point in time, trying to hold that edge either from the defensive end or the linebacker position, Patrick Graham could have, some little bit more pieces to the puzzle.
Yeah. Dude, like I said, I feel like Perkins would be a good, we run a 3-4. So outside linebacker, to me, an outside linebacker in a 3-4 is the same thing as a defensive end in a 4.
Yeah, exactly.
That's always the way I look at it. So, I feel like he could play either position, but I feel like definitely outside linebacker in a 3-4, he could definitely do that without a doubt. Then that's, going back to your point, you said you didn't think Karner Coughlin would have the speed to contain Russell Wilson. Again, that just shows you that combine speed and game speed are two totally different things.
Well, right? Everyone said Jerry Rice. Jerry Rice fell in the draft because he did not have a good 40 time. He couldn't run straight. He couldn't run a straight line. But how many times did he get caught from behind?
Victor Cruz is another one.
Yeah.
Victor Cruz never got caught from behind, I swear to God. And I always, not that he was Jerry Rice, but I always compared him to him in the fact that Victor Cruz wasn't lighting up the radar gun with his 40 time.
Nope.
But it's amazing how you can never get him when he got out ahead of
Yeah, we got ahead of steam. Yeah.
Couldn't get him. You know,
That's, yeah.
never got caught from behind. They ran 4.6s, but you couldn't catch them. So again, that's the difference between running in pads and running in shorts. There's a big difference. But all these statistical, analytical, whatever, 40 time, man. It's all about the 40. Who cares if he can't catch? Who cares if he can't run a crisp route?
But he runs a 4.3.
Right, if he rounds all of his. I mean, look at the Raiders. It works so well with them. Darius Hayward-Bay and James Jett, and taking Henry Ruggs instead of CeeDee Lamb or Jerry Jeudy first overall. It's always worked for the Raiders. Taking the fastest guy in the draft, it's never worked.
Now, how many times in the 90s did the Raiders take a cornerback that had blazing speed? And it turned out he couldn't cover, but he was fast.
Yeah. Well, that's good because when he got beat, he could catch the guy down 60 yards down the field and catch him at the 3 instead of letting him walk at the 3.
You got to fill that stat sheet. I almost caught him at the 3. It's like a 2-run home run, you know, when you're down 6-0 or 8-0.
It's just crazy. Johnny, thank you so much, brother. Really appreciate it. Says, does Online Big Blue expect the Eagles fans does Online Big Blue accept the Eagles fans to his channel? He said, laugh. Just trolling. You guys are awesome. Just root for the wrong team. Have an awesome night, Johnny.
I'm going to end that quick. No Eagle fans are allowed. I'm not trolling. No, I'm just kidding. Everyone's welcome to my channel. If you're dumb enough to subscribe to me, you get what you deserve. So, I would not say I'm you know, of course, Mr. Bad Dog is very opinionated as well and very passionate as well. I don't have the passion you have, but I like to refer to as the smart acidness that sometimes comes off the wrong way. But everyone's welcome on my channel. We love every people except for Eagle fans, Washington Redskins fans, Dallas Cowboy fans. That's about it. Yeah,
I say it all the time, but I do these streams and, you know, the Lakers are playing or whatever, and they're like, I'm a Celtics fan. I'm like, hey, you're more than welcome to be in here and talk your trash. Just be respectful. Talk your trash. I don't care.
And that's the thing. I got to teach people how to curse on my channel because you can't just curse. You either got to put all the words together or you have to put like F blank blank CK or something like that. You know, you got to be creative because people are like, well, you've deleted my comment. I'm like, no, YouTube deletes the comment. Yes. I don't delete the comments. So I actually did a stream a couple weeks ago where I taught people how to curse on my channel, which was probably one of the worst things I had done in a while.
Yeah.
At least in the last 12 hours.
Yeah. YouTube is very picky with the colorful language. They don't like the colorful language at all. Favorite Giants player of all time?
Ooh, that's a tough one. I'm going to have to go Phil Simms. Only because of the fact that I remember when he got drafted, and I remember, and I've done the impression with Pete Rozelle going up to the microphone and everyone booing. I mean, he was probably my father always said like Charlie Conley and Y.A. Tittle, they were his quarterbacks, you know, when he was growing up. So Phil Simms was my quarterback. You know, he led that, and we were Phil got hurt so many times until 84 when you started watching where he turned around, threw for over 4,000 yards. And the first Giant to do it, but he was my guy. I got Phil Simms statues over there all over because, like I said, and I had a Phil Simms autographed full size helmet. So I would say that he would be my man going back. But now, if you would say like in the last 10 years, because it just seems that sometimes people don't know Giant history goes past 2010. Again, it's a quarterback. It's always going to be Eli Manning. And again, I was an Eli Manning defender when everyone was against him, and then I was still defending him when he was winning and everyone was still against him. But he just to me, he exuded being a professional. Both him and Phil Simms, they both had, Phil was fiery and Eli kind of had that quiet fire. So it was kind of a yin and yang thing. But those would be my two guys that one I grew up with. One I actually Eli was drafted the year I started dating my wife. So I told her when Eli retired, we're going to have to get divorced because I don't know because I can't have her with Daniel Jones, man. I mean, that's just wrong. And I know she's probably watching, and I love you, honey. Just want you to know that right now. I don't hear her screaming in the other room, but I still love you.
The interesting thing, you mentioned your wife. I started dating my wife in 2000, and they made the Super Bowl that year. Married her in 2007. They won the Super Bowl. So maybe it's time for us to renew our vows. Get us another Super Bowl. Maybe that's we've been married what, almost 14 years now. We've been married 14 years.
Can we start a GoFundMe page for your wedding so we can make sure we have that done before the start of the season? And I know there's COVID rules, so you're just gonna have to do it as a stream. So I'm gonna put in the first 49 cents of the GoFundMe for that dog go to the Super Bowl wedding for renewal vows.
Mark, thank you so much for the super chat, brother. Really says dog's passion is what makes him great.
Exactly.
I've said this all the time. I'd rather people hate me for who I am than like me for who I'm not putting on an act for anybody. This is who I am. I say this all the time. You can ask Mrs. Bad Dog. What you see on Sundays when I'm watching the game is exactly what she's seen for 20 years. There is no difference. This is just me recording myself watching the game and kind of talking about it with you guys, what's going on. But mostly it was just screaming out there, what the hell are you doing? Vince Lombardi, what the hell is going on out there? Always.
But I always get that people are like, well, is this really, is that really you? Are you a persona? Are you this cocky and arrogant? I'm like, well, I've been like this since I can remember. I mean, I don't try to profess I'm something that I'm not. And either you like it, you don't like it. I hope people enjoy it at least. And I don't care if you leave bad comments or you hate what I have to say, but be respectful and just, but this is what I am. This is what my wife has to live with day in and day out.
Yeah, I mean, you guys can turn the channels off anytime.
Hey,
my wife is stuck with us.
My wife should get a GoFundMe page just having to deal with me. It should be, I deal with Tim from Online Big Blue. I think she'd get $1.5 million in the first week.
Zion, thanks so much, brother. Really says you keep it 1,000. That's why I subbed. I appreciate it. And that's the whole thing. I do. Again, people aren't always going to like what I have to say, but people ask me all the time, "Hey, Bad Dog, I'm gonna start a YouTube page. Can you give me any advice?" And the two things I always say is three things. You got to enjoy it. You got to be consistent, but be yourself.
Yep.
People can tell when you're being honest, and they may not like it, but they respect it. It's one of the biggest reasons that I have so many Eagles, Cowboys, and Washington fans that actually do support my channel the way they do, because they know at the end of the day, I'm very honest with my own team, and I am completely genuine. I'm not on here trying to make, if you like, I always say, if you like what I do, great. If you like me, great. If you don't like me, great. Because this is just, it's who I am. So I'm not going to change because somebody said, "Oh, you're a loudmouth asshole." Oh, really? I didn't know that. You telling me something?
Oh my God. I told somebody I don't have to go to therapy now. Thanks. Right. You nailed it.
Exactly. So exactly. That's a great diagnosis. Exactly. So, that's why it's all good and fun. Like I said, if you don't have people hate on you, you're not reaching enough people, because eventually somebody's going to hate you. It's just, it is what it is.
I'm doing something really right. So yeah. I'm good with that. I don't know if everyone knows though, but this is actually my last year doing Giant stuff. I'm actually I'm actually going to turn the channel over in February to a subscriber. Not because not because I'm not a passionate Giant fan or I don't like doing this anymore. I just, just life kind of happens. So, I mean, and that's why it's enjoyable to come and hang out with you, because of the fact that just one of the things that I wanted to, as a channel creator, a content creator, check off my list, that I was able to do, because it's, you've been doing this for a long time, and, I respect everything that you do. And I hope that whoever, takes over or carries on the lineage of it's like Batman. I'm like Batman. I'm like old Batman. I'm looking for the young Batman to come in and take over. But it's just one of those things that I found that you're right. If you're not being yourself and doing what you need to do, that's when people know you're being fake. Right. And that's when you lose. I mean, if anyone told me that 5,000 people and almost 800,000 views in less than 18 months, I would have that, I'd be like, you're freaking crazy. I mean, who the hell wants to see me? But I have so many people say the same thing. I like you because you just are who you are, and you don't apologize for being an asshole. Yep, you shouldn't. I mean, that's it. And I always tell younger, that's how you need to be in life. This ain't just on you. I'm not saying you need to be an asshole, but you need to be yourself, because you can't please everybody, so don't try. Yep. You drive yourself crazy trying to please everybody. It's not going to happen. It's just not. I understand society's different than when I grew up, when you grew up. We're the old guys. Get off my lawn. I get that. But trust me, that'll always, no matter what generation it is, that's always going to be fact. You need to be yourself. You can't be anybody but yourself. And don't try to be, because people can see that. People can always read through that. They can read through it online. This guy's not being honest. This guy, or they'll look at you and go,
I don't like this guy's opinion, but I respect it because there's other guys out there that are too scared to actually give an opinion one way or the other because they don't want to be wrong.
Right.
So, well, I don't want to get rid of him, but I don't want to kill him. So I'm just going to ride the fence. And then when it's completely done, then I'll give my opinion. That's not me. Yeah. I'm going to give you my opinion.
Well, I'm never wrong, so that's just works well for me.
I'm wrong all the time. Chicago Giants fan on Twitter. Thanks so much, man. Appreciate you, brother. Really, really says much rather listen to guys who are really passionate about the Giants than someone who is not. Great work. Thank you, man. We appreciate
that.
I want to go to the Phil Simms thing because, yeah, obviously I missed all Phil's bad years. And, luckily for me, I did. And, I mean, he was benched for Scott Bruner in 83, and then he came out in 84, and he threw for 4,000 yards, like you said. I always remember, for me, and I tell this story all the time, when I started watching the Giants in 84, my dad was watching the Giants out in the living room, and I said, Dad, what are you watching? He said, I'm watching the Giants. I said, hey, can I watch with you? And he said, yeah. He said, sit right up here. The first thing my father told me, watch LT. Watch 56. Just watch 56. Just watch him. Just watch Lawrence Taylor. So obviously, I mean, I'm a Lawrence Taylor guy. There's no doubt about that. I freaking love Lawrence Taylor. Lawrence Taylor was the guy. And I mean, he's the greatest defensive player ever. But Phil Simms, like I said, was a very fiery guy. That's why he and Parcells butted heads. Phil Simms was a very tough guy. Yeah. Very, very tough. He and Eli, excuse me, they were very similar. Their personalities were very different, but football-wise, they were pretty similar. I feel like they were both guys that took a lot of criticism, especially early on in their careers. They both ended up being winners, and I feel like neither one of those guys gets the respect that they deserve. Now, I didn't get a chance to watch your video. Yeah, I didn't get a chance to watch your video, but I did see that you made a video where you said Eli Manning's a Hall of Famer 100%.
Yep. And
I couldn't agree more. I don't understand why people are like, he's not a Hall of Famer. He's a career 500 quarterback. I don't give a damn about regular season. People act like wins are solely on the court, like they could play defense. Right. So, in other words, Dan Marino didn't win a Super Bowl because he's not clutch. It got nothing to do with the fact he never had a running back in his career. His defense sucked. That's got nothing to do with it. It just has to do with Dan Marino. Yep. Or whatever. Or John Elway for all those years when he didn't win a Super Bowl. And that was all John Elway's fault. It's not the case. I understand the quarterback gets more of the credit than he probably deserves, and he takes more of the blame than he probably deserves. But people that want to sit there and blame Eli Manning for the last 7 years of his career just don't watch Giants football. That guy was bad teams.
Yeah, that's the thing. And everyone's like, well, they always say, well, Daniel Jones has a bad offensive line. Well, there was plenty of years that Eli Manning and Phil Simms had, especially early in his career, had horrid offensive lines. And most people forget, or actually most people don't know, when the Giants made the 81 playoffs, Phil Simms started the first 10 games of that season. And he was actually leading the team to the playoffs at the time when he got hurt, but then he would just get hurt again. He would just get hurt again. And I remember he broke his thumb on the Eagles player's helmet back in the 83 season. And he was just coming off the season before where he tore his ACL. And then, like I said, you had the 84 season where he kind of blossomed, but he had a bad 84 season too. I mean, people forget he almost got benched going into the Minnesota game, until he threw that 4th and 17 to Bobby Johnson to basically, seal a win and help the Giants keep the momentum. But I mean, Phil put in with so much crap. And if you look at him statistically, he has over 33,000 yards passing, 199 touchdowns. He's got a winning record. You got someone like Troy Aikman, who's in the Hall of Fame, because they'll all say, well, he played in a different era. Simms played basically in the same era. And technically they both have
more touchdowns, less picks than Aikman too.
Yep, exactly. But for some reason, he's not in the Hall of Fame. And Eli Manning, who's in the top 10 of every statistical category that matters in the league, has 2 Super Bowls, 2 Super Bowl MVPs. People will go, well, he only made 4 Pro Bowls.
It's like, well, I never made a Pro Bowl.
how is that an argument, though? He only made 4 Pro Bowls.
Because they don't understand that's a popular.
Oh, and the other one was he only won NFC Player of the Month once. I think only one guy wins that a month in the season. I'm not sure. I'll have to check the math. Yeah, only one guy can win that a month.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, come on.
I see it again, guys. Yankees stream tomorrow at 10 o'clock. So you want to come in and hear me really rant about the Yankees are going to get that tomorrow. Like I said, I want to do that kind of a weekly thing on Saturday mornings, Yankee Weekly or Bad Luck. Yeah, I'm pissed. And everyone will be like, there'll be the kids that go, oh, calm down, it's early. Because 5-8 in April is totally different than 5-8 in September. There is no difference. All the games count the same, but for whatever reason, people say it's early. But they're crap. They're not good. But yeah, I feel like Phil Simms and Eli Manning are very similar, and I don't understand how people can say Eli's not a Hall of Famer. It just doesn't make sense. One thing I will say about, it's funny because 86, like you said, Simms had a terrible year, which is why when people say to me, and I was young in 87, I was 10, so I don't know how much I actually understood. But people ask me, the best Giants team you ever saw, for me, it was 2008, because they were top 5 in offense and defense. They ran the ball down everybody's throat. They averaged 5 yards a carry as a team. They were unbeatable before Plaxico Burress got hurt. The Giants had never started off 11-1 until that year, and they couldn't be beat. They were beating every team, and they crushed the Ravens. They beat the Steelers and Pittsburgh. Like, they beat everybody. 86, that offense really, really struggled. And if it wasn't for Joe Morris, God only knows.
They would be nowhere.
Right, because Simms did have a really bad year. He did. He threw more interceptions than touchdowns that year, but he got hot in the playoffs.
Well, that was the thing. And that's what people say about Eli Manning. Well, Eli Manning got hot in 2007.
But that's why it's just funny how they're really similar.
Yep.
Because I can remember, Tim, in 2007, they played the Vikings. He threw 4 picks, 3 were returned for a touchdown.
Yep.
I was at that game. I saw a guy burn an Eli Manning jersey in a parking lot after that game.
Hopefully he wasn't wearing it when he burned it.
Yeah, he should have been. But I remember, because I'll be honest, I saw him burning the jersey. Now, I'm not going to ever burn a Giants jersey. I don't care how pissed off I am. I'll never do that. But at the time, I remember looking and going, good. I remember thinking to myself, I understand. Because that was bad. And we didn't know. At that time, it's like, this team ain't going anywhere. But then he completely turned it around. Sometimes you need to hit rock bottom. I feel like that was Eli Manning's rock bottom that year.
That was a bad game. So what you're basically saying is Daniel Jones has hit rock bottom, we hope? And now he's going to go up?
I'm not comparing Daniel Jones, Eli Manning, or Phil Simms. I'm not comparing him to either one of them. He's got to win. I know that both of those guys started up. And Daniel Jones is going to take some heat because, listen, it's New York.
Yeah.
It is. Eli Manning was in the playoffs the second year of his career. They were 11-5. They won the division. And Phil Simms, in the second year of his career, or third year, they made the playoffs.
Yeah.
In 1981. And they won a playoff game. Not that he was a quarterback, but they did win a playoff game against the Eagles.
3 touchdowns, Scott Bruner, and only completed 7 passes.
Ernest Gray had one of them. It was a long touchdown pass. And then I think on the ensuing kickoff, the Eagles didn't recover the ball. The Giants took it in the end zone.
Took it in the end zone. Yep.
Right. I watched that game back. I didn't watch it, originally. I was 5, so I would have never remembered that. But I do. Anytime I can go back to YouTube and watch the Giants beat the Eagles, I do.
Back in 81, we had it on the radio. We haven't had these talking picture boxes yet.
Yeah.
I don't know about that new technology you keep talking about, TV back in 81.
You had TV in 81.
Hey, listen,
remote controls in 81, though. That's for sure.
It was a remote control. My dad would throw a shoe at me and tell me to go change into channel 4.
There you go. That was your remote control. Get up and change the channel. Move that antenna while you're over there too.
Oh my God, you gotta have a little bit of the the Reynolds wrap on the TV. And I love it because you got so many younger fans that have no clue. I'll talk about, I will tell people, I will do like a history video about Giant history. It'll be the worst views I ever get. Because nobody cares, because it's like, if it's not in the last 15 years, they're like, wait, Giants played, they played a sport back then. I was like, I always tell people, back then, when I played back in the day, it was when we had leather helmets. It was just it was a little different, but it's just crazy at this point in time. I know, like I said, but better go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I was going to say, I'm a big historian of like all my teams and sports in general. So I always appreciate, that type of stuff. And again, I look back at the 80s and say, that's really when the Giants are in the corner. The Giants were really bad for many, many years. And I can remember the same thing in 86. My father saying to me after they won a Super Bowl, he was 32. He said to me, kid, enjoy this. You don't know if you're going to see it.
Don't ever happen again.
You may never see this again, because his whole life, he was 9 in 1963. So maybe he saw that team was halfway decent. 63. Did they make the championship in 63? Or was that 62?
I think that's 62.
Because 63 to 81, they were really bad.
They're really bad.
So he grew up with that 18-year period, which is why Cowboy fans are like, we own the old-time series. I'm like, yeah, you do realize in the 70s, you beat the Giants 24 out of 26 games or whatever the hell it was.
Yeah,
that's why you own the series. Not because you were – after 84, it's pretty even until recently. Believe it, it's just it's crazy, man.
I was an older fan in 85, but I remember my father, and like I said, it's been forever since, the Giants won anything or were really good. And, during that playoff game in Chicago, when Sean Landeta missed the ball in the end zone trying to punt, I didn't understand. I mean, I was in my teens, but I didn't understand why he was so upset.
Right.
That we lost the game. I knew because we lost the game. That's why I was upset. But it was like, it really damaged his psyche in some ways until the next season because of how that game was lost. But then it's to your point. I never really thought if you went back, he hadn't seen a winner since 62.
Yep.
In 81 was a tease, and you had 3-12-1 in 83, and you had 9-7 in 84. You think you're finally reaching the pinnacle, and the guy whiffs on a punt. I mean, in the end zone.
Also in that game, Eric Schubert, I think his first name was Eric, his last name was Schubert, missed a 19-yard field goal for a half. A 19-yard field goal, less than an extra point. He missed a 19-yard field goal.
Yeah.
Uncle Freddie, man, thank you for becoming a member. The Dog Pound brother, really, Yo, Dog Pound members, welcome Freddie into the Dog Pound. I really appreciate that, my man. What else I got here? I just missed something there. LeVar, thank you so much, man. Brilly says Daniel Jones can only get better. So let's start off with having faith in our coaching staff. They did a good job with this fumbling problem and learning how to throw the ball away. Expect to see Peyton Jones. Let's not get too carried away. Let's not call him Peyton. Let's hope that he is nearly as good as Eli.
Well, let's call him Archie for right now.
Yeah. I can get on board with Archie. Archie was a good quarterback in a bad team.
Archie, but Daniel Jones, what do you think about the coaching staff though? We have 23 coaches on the staff now, and that's not even including some of the ancillary guys, which is one of the largest coaching staffs ever in the NFL. I was joking on my channel the other day that are we going to have a coach per player now? Because he just seems to be, and he's bringing in a lot of quality assurance guys, like Russell Callaway from Samford. He's bringing in all these guys. I don't have a problem with it, but I always get worried that you have too many cooks in the kitchen. You have too many, opinions in your ear yapping away.
Couldn't agree with you more. Chris actually mentioned this on the show last week, and I said it worries me a little bit because, and again, this is a totally different time. But Joe Gibbs, when I was growing up, one of the greatest coaches. He's one of the greatest coaches ever. Only coach to win 3 Super Bowls with 3 different quarterbacks. Really had probably the best team in the world in 83. They just didn't match up all the Raiders and got their ass kicked in the Super Bowl. Okay. But when Joe Gibbs came back, he didn't pick that coaching staff. The ownership did. He had like 40 coaches. And Joe Gibbs was terrible because Joe Gibbs didn't have a say in everything. So, yeah, I'm completely with you that I think that maybe too many opinions is not good. Too many chefs may spoil a pot. You don't need all those guys, in my opinion. I think that our 3 main guys are fantastic.
Oh, definitely.
I know people are on Jason Garrett's case. I get that. And I have a hard time with people who will stick up for Daniel Jones, but they'll blame Jason Garrett. And I have to tell them, Jason Garrett has the same talent to work with that Daniel Jones. What do you want Jason Garrett to do? We have Wayne Gallman. We have Evan Ingham dropping passes. We have Darius Slayton, who, for whatever reason, can't get open anymore. We have 3 rookies starting on the offensive line. What is Jason Garrett supposed to do that Daniel Jones, why does Garrett get the blame and Jones doesn't? Garrett can only coach what's out there.
Yep.
So let's see it's a make or break year for so many of these guys. Garrett, Jones, Gettleman. 2021 is make or break for the New York Giants because we're either going forward or we're going backwards. This is a big year.
What if the Giants, this is actually kind of interesting what I want to lean into. Joe Judge, let's say he goes, let's say he wins 3 games.
Oof.
What's the thought process then? Let's say there's a massive regression, even with the additional talent, which I get concerned of only because everyone that we seem to have signed is coming off of some type of major injury. And then let's say he just wins 3. Does the coaching, because Gettleman's gone. And what general manager is going to want to come in here when we say, well, you know what, you get to pick the players, but you gotta keep Joe Judge. What do you think would happen to him at that point in time?
It would be tough because I feel like the Giants made a big mistake when they fired Coughlin and kept Reese. I just don't feel like if you're going to get, and then they did it again where they fired Shermer and kept Gettleman. If they're 3-13, 3-14, if they're that bad, injuries or no injuries, and Daniel Jones ain't the guy, and Barkley gets hurt again, and hopefully that don't happen, and you get rid of Gettleman, you have to wipe it clean. You can't keep him as a head coach. You have to wipe it clean. You got it because, like you just said, the GM is going to want to bring in his guys. The GM should not. I feel like Gettleman took the New York job because his hands were tied, and I will say this till the day I die. I feel like Barkley was pushed by ownership, and I feel like Jones was pushed by ownership. Those aren't Gettleman guys to me. He can say, I fell in love with Daniel Jones after three snaps, or whatever it was, 3 series in the Senior Bowl. Saquon Barkley's touched by the hand of God. But what are you going to say? Well, I didn't want him. They made me do it. How long do you have a job? How long do you have a job?
I had a thing though. I said the old Bart Simpson thing where he smashes the fish tank with the yo-yo and he's got his finger attached to the one string and the fish tank is and the yo-yo's in the fish tank and he goes, I didn't do it. And that's what I thought, like with Gettleman. That's the first thing I thought of. That's what I would do. I'd be like, I didn't do it. I didn't want him. I personally thought he wanted Barkley. I think Jones was management, but I think he thought, at least what I would think his thought process was, he needed to bring some type of excitement to New York. He needed it's one of those things like he needed a win. He needed a Yankee win, in April. He needed something to keep the fan base excited. Because I'll tell you, I was pumped when they drafted Barkley. I remember because I was in a hotel room in Vegas. I'm not Vegas. It's in Atlantic City. And I was watching it with my son and, that I have a fond memory of that because my kid was there. But it was just, to me, he was grabbing the guy that was going to shake up New York. He was Patrick Ewing. He was the guy that was going to make the difference and turn the corner. And that rookie season, outside of the record, that's what Barkley did. He got people interested in the Giants again.
Yeah, there was no doubt. AP, thank you so much, brother. Billy says, I don't know why I have a feeling we're taking Darisaw. I have no idea who we're taking.
Yeah,
no clue. The reason I say that I feel like ownership has a lot to do with Barkley is because they held on to Eli. This all goes back to McAdoo. McAdoo wanted Pat Mahomes or Deshaun Watson.
Yep.
Such was happening to Deshaun Watson. I loved Deshaun. Deshaun Watson was my favorite player before this. I loved him at Clemson. I wanted Deshaun Watson to be a Giant. I didn't know how good Pat Mahomes was going to be. I knew he was good at Texas A&M, but I'm always weary of Big 12 quarterbacks because not Texas A&M, sorry, Texas Tech, because I'm just weary of Big 12 quarterbacks because they don't play defense in the Big 12.
Right.
McAdoo wanted him. Ownership and Reese said, no, we're not doing that. McAdoo knew he was getting fired, and the screw you to the Giants was, you don't want to listen to me. You give me this over-the-hill quarterback. Give me this bad team. We're sitting him. To hell with all you. He knew it. That was a big FU. To me, that was ownership saying, well, Jesus, we didn't step in and stop that. Now we look really bad. So what we have to do is try to win with Eli there now. So drafting a guy like Nelson isn't going to do that. So we better go out and try to do everything we can. So we're going to pay all the money for Nate Solder. We're going to pay all the money for Alec Ogletree. We're going to make this move. We're going to get Saquon Barkley in here, and we're going to try to win with Eli Manning. I feel like that was ownership saying we owe him a chance to make a run at it, and by drafting a lineman, that's not going to do it. So we better go with the most explosive, player in the NFL draft. I was excited when they got Barkley. I was driving home. My wife, maybe we were going to her grandparents' house. We were leaving. Her grandfather actually said, "You're going to make the guy leave now." I forgot why I had to get home, but I'm driving in the car. I'm listening. I'm like, I knew Mayfield went to the Browns, and I'm like, please not Darnold. Please not Darnold. Don't take Darnold. Don't take Darnold. Don't take Sam Darnold. Please don't take. So I'm at a red light, and they did not say goodbye. I'm like, yeah! And there's old people next to me just look. They're like, what the hell's going on with that guy? So I was really excited, but I don't know, man. I don't feel like that was Gettleman. Maybe part of it, but I still feel like that was a lot of ownership. And definitely Daniel Jones was, hey, this guy is, Eli Cutcliffe. we want another Eli, so let's take Daniel Jones.
Yeah.
I think that last year was the first year that Dave Gettleman really had his hand into this is what I want to do. That's why they drafted all the offensive linemen that they did, because he wanted to fix the offensive line. And he didn't do it the first two picks. They went what? They had 3 first-round picks in 2018. They went Jones. They went Lawrence.
Dexter Lawrence.
Yeah, Dexter Lawrence, and they went DeAndre Baker.
Yep.
And then the next year they went Daniel Jones, they went Barkley and then Jones, and then they decided they were going to go with the offensive line next year. So I feel like you tried to fix them last year, but it's I don't know, a lot of people to blame for the Giants.
Do you think there's going to be a progression though from like Matt and Shane Lemieux? And I mean, Nick Gates, to me, he manned the center position well enough, but I've never seen a center get so many holding penalties. I mean, do you think those Gettleman draftees are going to at least turn the corner? Because Will Hernandez is made nothing but, regressions after a semi-okay rookie season. But do you see the Giants offensive line any improvement with these new guys?
I hope so. That's all we can hope for. I know a lot of people want to take an offensive lineman in the first round. Me personally, and again, I always say perhaps it's my Sooner bias, but I've been talking about Creed Humphrey since he was a freshman. He was one of the best centers in the country as a freshman. To me, I'm all about drafting Creed Humphrey. I would love him to fall to the third. I don't know if he will, but if he's there in the third round, there's no doubt. You take Creed, you put him at center, you move Nick Gates back to guard where he belongs. To me, that would make the Giants' offensive line that much better. Because Nick Gates was serviceable, but like I said, he had a lot of holes. He's playing out of position.
Right. And I never faulted him for that. It's just the fact that he played at a necessity to a point, but right. People forget Spencer Pooley actually in his beginning of his career started all 16 games for San Diego. Mm-hmm. I mean, I would think that he would have been on maybe the same par as Gates, who was just learning the position because he's been doing it for a while. And we should have kept Gates where he should have been the whole time. And I kind of see the same thing. I don't think Humphreys is going to be around to the Giants. I see him going maybe, like towards the later half of the second round. Yeah. But I would love that. I would love that pick.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, I've been talking about him since he's a freshman. He's just nasty. He's mean. He can play. I mean, that kid can play center. He would be a really good fit with the Giants. That's the guy that I really want. I would rather take, like I said, Parsons or one of them 2 receivers in the first round and then get Creed later on in the draft. We'll see. It'll be interesting. I know a lot of guys are like the Giants need to take an edge. I understand that too, but you mentioned Ronnie Perkins in the second round. That's a possibility. Let me ask you this: do you think the Giants taking a defensive end at 11 is a reach? Do you think these in Kwity Paye and Russo, they all reaches at 11?
I am a big Gregory Rousseau, Mr. 305 fan. I'm a huge fan of his, and I've talked to a gentleman that was a former scout who's still in Miami, and I gave the comparison a long time ago about JPP and when he came out of South Florida, and everyone's saying, well, Phillips had a better pro day. Well, again, you don't play the game in shorts, right? You got to put the pads on, and they'll say, well, Gregory Rousseau is he all of his sacks came from the inside. Okay, so that's Leonard Williams too. But I think, you have Leonard Williams on the inside and him on the outside. Yeah, he's raw, but there's still something there. But any of the defensive ends at 11 would probably be not a big time reach, but it would, to me, again, I hate picking on the Raiders, but it would be a Raider move. Right. Raider taking a guy where you're just like, who the hell did they just take and why?
Like Farrell at 4.
Yeah, exactly.
There's a lot of talk about them trading with the Patriots. At 15, is it a reach?
Again, I would say probably because of the fact that I think something is going to fall. Something's going to shake out of the tree with all these quarterbacks.
Yep.
And that's the thing. And then if you're trading with the Patriots, I understand that there's the issue now with Mac Jones and Instagram and everything else. But I don't think that there's always something that's, before the draft that hurts one player.
Of course.
But I think the Patriots, if they want him, they would go up to get him. But I still think at 15, I think the talent from the defensive end position, to me, it's a lot of disruptors and not a lot of guys who can go out and actually get the quarterback. Everyone knows I'm a huge Leonard Williams fan. I've been calling him the king of the almost sack for a year and a half now, since he's been here. And I think there a lot of these guys are like Leonard Williams. Leonard Williams, a lot of his sacks were coverage sacks, which someone's got to get the sack. So I don't fault him for that. But he is more of a disruptor getting into the backfield than he is a finisher. And I think that's what a lot of these defensive ends are coming out this year. And I think anything out of 20 or above 20 is going to be a reach for this position. Cause like I said, with those quarterbacks falling, someone of top 5 or top 10 talent is going to fall into 15.
Yeah. I can definitely see that happening. Irish, thanks so much, brother. Really says Eli's career was cut short because of Flowers at left tackle for 3 freaking years. Really enjoying the stream. Go Giants. That wasn't just Flowers. It was that entire offensive line was really pissed off.
There was more than one problem. Flowers was one, but there was more than one problem.
It was just a bad offensive line. No doubt about that. But I agree. I don't think there's no guy that's going to sit there and get you 16 sacks. The Giants haven't had that guy in years where there's a finisher. Where I was talking about, a couple of years ago when they lost to Dallas, I think Olivier Vernon might have missed. And again, this was a nothing game for us, and Dallas ended up winning the game last minute with Dak Prescott. No, we don't have that guy on 3rd and 9 that ends the game on defense. We don't have him.
No. Leonard Williams doesn't do that for you?
No. Leonard Williams, I love Leonard. I'm a big Leonard.
I know you are a big fan. But my thing is, and since you are a big fan, I want to ask you a question about Leonard Williams. You take a look at Logan Ryan, Blake Martinez, Julius Peppers, James Bradbury. You look at all these guys. You look at their snap count. Almost every game, 100% of the defensive snaps. You go look at Leonard Williams, it's 76, 82, 79. How can you justify giving a guy all this money who had one good season out of 6, who you could maybe say half of his sacks may have been coverage related, and he is a disruptor, when we're saying that we don't want to take a guy who's a disruptor in the draft and pay them less money, but they could potentially do the same thing that Leonard Williams is getting over $20 million to do right now?
That's a great point. I guess you would just say because he proved that he can do it, and perhaps it was Patrick Graham's scheme that finally got him over the top, and he fits the scheme really well, and he was incredibly effective. And you know what you're getting with Leonard Williams. I think that's part. And Dave Ginnam went out and traded for this guy.
Well, so I feel like he was never going to get rid of him. Right.
I feel like that was a big thing. And also, signing him, even though it was a big deal. I liked it. It was only 3 years. You're out after 2. It's not an Olivier Vernon contract. It's not one of these 5-year deals where everything's backloaded. This allowed the Giants also to go out and make these moves with Holiday and Adoree Jackson. So I feel like that was a big reason that they did sign. They feel like, you know what, we got a guy that is a good run stopper. He can get to the quarterback, even if it's not like in a pure edge rusher manner, but he can get there. He does get sacks. He does finish plays when he gets there. And then allow them to make the big free agent moves. And again, it's only a 3-year deal. I'd much rather have the 3-year, $63 million deal than a 5-year, $90 million deal. Like the Eagles gave their players, these guys, all that money. And Harry Roseman, all the Eagle fans, he's a Wiz. He's backloading the contract.
Yeah.
You can't have guys with $60 million dead cap. They all sit there and talk about Daniel Jones. I'm like, you're paying Carson Wentz $36 million. They don't even play for you. So worry about your quarterback situation, but
if and that's going to bring my next point in 20, and I get blasted for this all the time. 2022, we have 38 players under contract. We're already negative cap space because of the fact that we did exactly not what the Eagles did to their extent, but we did the same thing. We're moving, and I've said this before. You can't keep moving guaranteed money, especially bonus money, from year to year to year because one day it's like if you get a credit card with no interest. Yeah, one day that no interest payment's going to end. Yeah. So in 2022, we got a lot of guys, especially now that we've also moved Bradbury's and Blake Martinez's money, some of it into the next year. We got a lot of guys that are making a lot of money. We are cap heavy by maybe 10 or 8 players, where that's where the majority of the cap is. And right now we're actually, we would be not counting the rule of 51. We would be negative cap space going in. And I know you can get rid of Nate Solder and you can move money around. But we'll have a large portion of money dedicated to 8 guys in that season. So, and to what I was saying before, to me, this is the win net. We're pushing all the chips. We're doing the Jim Fossil, all the chips to the middle of the table. But what happens if it doesn't work? and you have all these guys making all this money. Are we going to be in the Eagles situation, but only, they won a Super Bowl and then eked out another playoff? But are we going to just have one maybe winning season or a bad season and then find out we're back in the cap problems that we had with JPP and Olivier Vernon and, Odell Beckham and everyone else?
Yeah. I mean, it's very possible, but like I said, at least they're not long-term deals.
No, yeah, at least it'd be like a 2-year burn.
Right. So I guess that's why, to me, it's not as big of a deal. Also, if this succeeds, you know what you have going forward. And like I said, if it doesn't, you can blow it up after 2022. Right. So I don't know, man. It'll be a very interesting season. And this is a make or break year for the New York Giants. They definitely went after it. They definitely wanted to accelerate this process. I think a lot of that has to do with, is Daniel Jones a guy? Because after this year, you're going to say, hey, we're going to give him his 5th-year option. We're going to start looking for another quarterback and let him walk after year 4. There's so much that goes into what this is why I don't want to be a GM. That's why I just like being here and screaming at the Giants for not doing what I say they should do.
So much easier.
It is. This is way easier.
It's easier. I don't have any stress. That's why I have hair at 52. I don't have any stress. All right, I got a big question.
Yes.
You have to, and you have to answer.
Okay.
How awesome am I? No, that's not the question. Because I already know the answer to that. What's the Giants' record next year? I mean, I know it's way early. I know we haven't gotten through the draft. There's so many different variables. But if someone asked you right now, where do you do you think they'll have a winning record? Do you think they're going to make the playoffs? What do you think the outcome may be for this season?
10-7.
Really?
10-7. We can beat the teams in this division. I mean, to me, that's fine. The Giants get 5 wins in this division. This division ain't any good. I feel like they can beat the Raiders. I feel like they can beat the Chargers. I feel like all those teams out in the AFC West, they can beat every one of them except for Kansas City. And I feel like we can beat Chicago. And we play the NFC South, right? So we should be able to beat the Falcons. We should be able to beat the Panthers. Like, I feel like they can beat those teams. So I definitely think they get 10 wins. I look at last year, and again, it's a fallacy to predetermine outcome. You really don't know. One year to the next doesn't mean anything. But I look at how hard their schedule was. I looked at how they were pretty much in every game except for a couple, and lost a couple of games down the that they shouldn't have lost. That they very easily could have won had they just made one play. They could have been 9-7 on a very tough schedule with no Saquon Barkley, no number 1 receiver. Daniel Jones being hurt a couple of games and then not being really healthy even when he came back. Brand new coaching staff, no time to train, all the COVID crap, no preseason games. And they had to learn on the fly from day one in the NFL. If they can't win 10 games, it's a disappointing season to me. Because this year, they have all the offseason activities. They have the year under this coaching staff. They know the playbook. There's no excuses. And their schedule is a lot easier. To me, they should win 10 games. If they don't, it's a disappointment in my eyes.
Yeah, I mean, I personally, I'm still seeing, I mean, like I said, it's way early because the draft isn't here yet. I still feel it's 8 wins. I get worried about Washington. I get worried because the fact that you have a team's number for so long, it just reaches a point, though, just like the Eagles, that they're bound. The other team is bound to win a game.
Yeah.
And we always had problems in Dallas recently. And it's just, if without that progression from Jones, I mean, if what happens if Jones, let's say it's week 8 and Jones isn't the guy,
we're screwed.
Is Mike Glennon going to come in and save the day? I mean, and that's the thing. And I hate to say it. But Daniel Jones, he is the linchpin to the season. I mean, it doesn't matter. And to your point, you've said it before. It doesn't matter how well the defense plays. It doesn't matter if they only give up, 17 points, 10 points. But if you only score 3, it doesn't matter at that point in time. So, I mean, without Daniel Jones making, that's a question I want to ask you too. How well do you think Daniel Jones needs to play for us to go 10-7? Does he need to be 4,000 yards, 30 touchdowns, 10 interceptions, or can he be an 84, not an 84 Phil Simms, but can he be an 86 Phil Simms where he throws for 3,200 yards, 21 touchdowns, and 22 interceptions?
I think a lot of that has to do with the health of Saquon Barkley. I don't think that he could be Phil Simms in 86. We're not winning those games. That defense was otherworldly in 86.
Oh, yeah, they were like, people don't understand how well. I mean, I think they're ranked at NFL top 3 as one of the great.
I mean, that 86 defense was stupid good. It was unbelievable. But I do think that if Daniel Jones is 2008 Eli Manning, where he throws 3,000 yards, 21 touchdowns, 10 interceptions, and doesn't turn the ball over, I definitely think they can win 10 games. I think he has to be 2008 Eli Manning. He doesn't need to be 2015 Eli Manning throwing, 35 touchdowns and 400 yards. You don't need to be that guy. But 2008 Eli Manning, if Saquon Barkley is healthy, I think 2008 Eli Manning is legitimate. I think Daniel Jones can do that. And I think if he does do that, I think they're good enough to win. I feel like they're not good enough to win a Super Bowl. They're not going to be the 2008 Giants because, again, that defense is great in the running game and the offensive line. It was just ridiculous. But they can definitely be a lot better if Daniel Jones is efficient and doesn't try to do too much. He don't need to throw 40 touchdowns. I feel like if he throws 20 and only turns it over, throws 10 interceptions, I feel like that's good enough. I don't feel like he needs to be Pat Mahomes.
Do you think he can win a Super Bowl, though? I mean, let's just and that's the thing though, because that's what this whole thing is about. It's about getting to this, big dance and actually winning. I mean, yeah, bad quarterbacks, Brad Johnson, Trent Dilfer, guys like that who are average quarterbacks at best have won Super Bowls, but can Daniel Jones get us there and B actually win? Because we've seen what happens in the Super Bowl. Everything, the record goes out the window. Everyone's 0-0.
Last year, perfect example.
Exactly.
Yeah, he hasn't shown me that yet. Outside of the first, and I always bring this up, his first game in Tampa, he just played football.
Yeah.
He wasn't thinking. He wasn't trying to he was just, it was instinctual. His instincts were there. He led them down. Now, granted, the defense almost blew that game. If William Gay doesn't miss the field goal, which was like he missed 2 extra points in that game, then missed a 33-yarder to lose it. It wouldn't even matter what Daniel Jones did. But to me, that was probably, even though rating-wise it wasn't his best game, the game against Washington was. Obviously, he won the game in overtime against Washington, which is when I really got ahead of myself and said, oh, this kid's going to be really good. And also, I went to the Jets game, and I thought he played outside of Jamal Adams taking the ball away from scoring a touchdown. I said he played really good in that game, too. Barkley had 1 yard and 13 carries. I thought Daniel Jones was great. But I don't know. He hasn't shown me that. And when people want to compare him to Eli and say Eli was bad his first couple of years, Eli always had that. Eli always had that. I can cover behind. You always felt like when Eli Manning had the ball in the fourth quarter, we were going to come back and win.
Yeah.
I don't get that feeling with Daniel Jones. I don't have the feeling. I don't have the feeling that he's going to lead a team 90 yards to a touchdown in the Super Bowl. Not yet. Maybe this year he changes my mind. I pray to God that he does. But right now, there's no way I can sit here and go, yeah, I think Daniel Jones is the guy that's leading us to a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
He hasn't showed me that yet.
Well, you know what's funny about Eli Manning, though, was Pat Shurmur. Pat Shurmur's first season, Giants lost 5 out of 6 games when Eli Manning turned and gave the team the lead with 2 minutes left in the game. Mm-hmm. And they lost 5. Well, of course, there was a 63-yard field goal, but they lost 5.
5 downs, mind you. 5 downs, yeah.
That's and to your point, I always felt the same way when Eli came into the game. I always felt like we something would happen. And honestly, I feel the same way when Daniel Jones is going to come in the game, that something's going to happen, but it's always something bad.
I feel the same way. Every time he draws back,
I know.
I'm like, yeah, I'm just like, you just feel like something bad's going to happen. It sucks, but it's true. You
feel like it.
He throws it to Evan Ingram, but bounces up in the air. There's an interception. Oh, Daniel Jones draws back. Not ball's fumbled. Yes.
You know what's funny? I compared it to Kevin Gilbride, because when Kevin Gilbride would be like in 3rd and 17, 3rd and 12, he would always run the draw.
Shotgun draw.
And I would always sit there, and my wife will attest this. We would always yell, "Don't run the draw!" And then would be. And next thing you go, he ran the draw. And it's the same thing with Daniel Jones. He comes into the game, and you're like, "Okay, we're down by 3. We could just, got a minute 40 left, 2 timeouts." And then the next thing you know, you're right, the ball bounces up in the air, or he fumbles, or something else happens, and you're not disappointed because you're like, "Yeah, it's kind of what I expected."
I just feel like if the Giants, sometimes teams just make their own breaks.
Yeah,
I feel like when you're a winning team, when you're positive and you feel like you're going to win, good things happen. And I feel like when you're unsure of yourself and you don't know that you can win, bad things happen. That's why, for me, this year's all about Daniel Jones's confidence. If Daniel Jones is confident in himself, he'll be such a better quarterback. That is, to me, why he has such a hard time. He doesn't process quickly enough because he's thinking too much and he's unsure. And I go back to, the 2-point conversion against Tampa. Deion Lewis is wide open. He needs to get rid of that ball. He looks right at him and he hesitates, and then he throws it and he throws it behind him. To me, that encompasses Daniel Jones' career so far. He's a split second late, and in the NFL, that's way too late.
But do you think you can teach that, though? I mean, can you teach not being a split second late? I mean, yeah, there's a lot you can coach in reference to reading defenses and in reference to hopefully going through your progressions. But if you watch Daniel Jones, first read's not there. He goes to the second read. He's not sure. And if the pocket starts collapsing, he doesn't know what to do with it. Not that I've never seen a quarterback do it, but I've never seen a quarterback consistently not know what to do with the ball when he's looking at his second read. Does he run? Do I throw it? Do I look back in the first read? Do I throw it over the sidelines? I personally have not, in all the years that I've been watching, I've watched some bad Giant quarterbacks, not just Dave Brown, but he just has, to me, that issue. Can you go through your progressions and make that split second throw? Because is that something that's teachable in your mind, or something you think is instinct? I think it's instinct.
And that's what worries me. That's why I'm down on Daniel Jones, because I think it's instinctual. Because I do feel like physically he's good enough. I think, like I said, his tools are good enough. I know he can play. I know he can do it. But if you can't do it physically, you can be taught that stuff. Maybe you do. Maybe say, do this, do that. And maybe for a couple plays he does. But at the end of the day, you always go back to what you know. You're always going to go back to your instincts. Always.
Yep.
I just hope for him it's a confidence issue, saying, hey, my offensive line sucks. And when I go back, I know someone's in my face. I don't know where the hell it's coming from. I don't know if it's coming from here. I don't know if it's coming from here. I don't know if it's coming from here, wherever, but it's going to come. I feel like with a pure number one receiver, with a better line with Saquon Barkley, I'm hoping that Daniel Jones says, okay, I'm confident. I like these guys around me. I feel like they're going to keep me upright. I'm confident. It's like anything else. If you have confidence in something, you're going to do it better than if you doubt yourself. Right now, I feel like he doubts himself. Right now, I feel like he's trying to be too perfect sometimes, and he's like, I don't want to make a mistake. So he's, and I go back to watching the Giants, we're talking about 86. And any of you guys that haven't watched America's Game, go watch it. Phil Simms, we were talking about earlier, really bad in the middle of that season, terrible in the middle of that season. Couldn't do anything. That offense was atrocious outside of Joe Morris. They were winning because of their defense. Phil Simms in that segment says, we go into that game in Minnesota. And Bill Parcells says to me, Phil, go out there, take some chances. I don't care if you throw 4 interceptions.
Yep.
And in that game, he threw for over 300 yards. And like you said, he hit the big 4th and 17 to Bobby Johnson. Raul Allegre hits a field goal. And they don't lose. I mean, they were in a winning streak anyway, but he got much better after that.
He got hot. He started to play. Yeah, he started to play with consistency.
Confidence, man. Confidence of, I don't care if you make a mistake.
I'm going to throw a monkey in the wrench there. Besides his blindside awareness being atrocious and his pocket presence being atrocious at times, I said it for a million times. I've never seen a guy not have the ability to feel the rush as badly as he does from behind, from his blind side.
He does.
But last year, he had a problem with the rush coming directly at him. Look at what Marcus Golden did to him.
Yes.
Marcus Golden, he didn't even look up and see him. Eli was always great because Eli's always looked like he went down like he was shot. And people were like, well, why did he give up on the play? It's like, no, he's because you know what? Sometimes you give up on a play to fight.
My answer to that is you stand there and get hit by a 300-pound guy going at you full speed. You do.
Exactly. But yeah, it shouldn't hurt at all.
No, get right back up and do it again.
Yeah, do it. But Daniel Jones, when I saw that play, I was like, and he was starting to play semi better, but it was almost like, how can you have a difficult time at sensing the rush behind you, but now you're not even sensing the rush when it's it should be directly in your vision, and you don't even see the guy.
Yeah, it's like I said, man. You just You got to hope this stuff gets better. And it's going to be on Daniel Jones. It's not going to be on the coaching staff. It is on Daniel Jones. Rakeem, thank you so much, brother. Really, to be fair, he did drive us down the field. To be fair, we lost the game.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, that's what you judge on, right? Getting down there is one thing. Scoring is another. We got down there all year. We couldn't put the ball in the end zone.
Nope.
That's the problem. That's the problem. I mean, he brought us down the field against the Rams. And when he should have ran and got the first down, he threw an interception. Again, that's instincts. To me, that's just not making the smart play. That's my hang up with Daniel Jones. I know he can play, which is why I get so frustrated. It's not like it's not like he's Dave Brown. Dave Brown had no talent. Danny Cannell had no talent. Okay? The joke in the late 90s in New York was the best quarterback in New York plays for the Knicks because it was Charlie Ward.
Yeah. But Danny Cannell went to the playoffs.
He did. That's because their defense was fantastic.
Yeah, exactly.
Man, and Armstead. I love Jason Seward. I actually have my Jason Seward jersey from 1997. I wear that once in a while. I say to the chat, I go, this jersey's older than half the people in the chat. It's 24 years old, that Seward jersey. I loved Jason Seward. But yeah, they were ugly. That was an ugly – that offense was terrible. It was hard to watch. It was just a hard thing to watch. But, he was bad. And Ken Graham was bad. And I was too young for Scott Bruner, but obviously he was bad.
Well, Scott Bruner won, but because of the defense, he won the playoff game.
Right. So,
it's and no one's going to know what the hell I'm talking about. Daniel Jones reminds me some ways of the early version of Jeff George, the quarterback. Yeah. I mean, he played like he first kept, he kind of played like he unabandoned, he didn't care. He was just throwing the ball. And then like 2 plays later, it's like he was afraid to make a mistake. And to your point, that's always when mistakes happen, when you all of a sudden start thinking more of what you shouldn't do. And then instead of just feeling and doing what you need to do.
Right. It's just like baseball.
Yeah.
If you're up there thinking about the pitch, you ain't hitting it.
Nope.
See it and hit it. It's all reactionary. If you're a basketball player and you're aiming your shot instead of just letting it fall, you're going to miss. So in football, it's the same thing. Daniel Jones, the first game, I'll always go back to Tampa when he just played football. He had 4 total touchdowns. It was his first game. People are like, oh, people didn't have film on him. It doesn't matter. You go back and watch him play there and watch him play, 4 weeks later. It was a different guy to me. It was a different quarterback. It was, I had a bad game. Now I really and listen, when you're in New York, I don't care how much you try to avoid it. You're hearing it. Oh, the guy can't hold on a ball. The guy fumbles. The guy turns over. So what's the first thing you're going to do? I can't when he's out there looking, he's like, I can't fumble the ball. So he's worried about fumbling instead of worried about, hey, my second read's wide open going across the field. There's a lot that goes into it that doesn't show up at the combine. There's intangibles.
Oh, that's
Eli Manning had those intangibles. And, that's Daniel Jones needs those intangibles. Well, hopefully this year he has. By the way, again, if you guys haven't done so, we're talking to Big Blue Online Sports Entertainment. Link to his description is link to his channels in the description, rather. Go in there, click on it, sub them up. I'm sure one of my mods could also drop it in the chat if they'd be so kind. But make sure you subscribe to Tim. Like I said, this has been a long time coming. I said I wanted to talk for like an hour. This has been 2 hours because I can talk.
How do you see the clock?
I can talk Giants football, especially when we talk about history, forever.
Yeah, so can I.
Because it's actually not that there's anything wrong with the younger crowd, but it's nice to talk to somebody that actually is like watched the Giants longer than me and knows what I'm talking about when I talk about like 1985. Because most of my people here were born in 85 or later. And they don't remember Landetta missing the punt, which if you go back and watch it, you'll see the wind as it gets down there.
Right up there. It shifted. That was I've never seen anything like, I saw the Fog Bowl in Chicago, of course, but it was literally like you knew the Bears were going to get the Super Bowl and win Super Bowl that year, besides their defense in the 46 zone. But when that ball you look right, it just went all of a sudden out of nowhere.
Yep. It's just crazy. Big Pat Sports Talk. Thanks so much. Really. He says, Daniel Jones drives me crazy, bro. That's why I did my video on him. My film study, it shows everything you guys are saying.
Yep.
it's going to come down to confidence, man. And again, if he gets confidence, he's like the girl at the curl. He like Jake Plummer. Jake Plummer was Jake Plummer was that guy that just one game the guy with over 400 yards and 4 touchdowns. The next game he's throwing with his opposite hand and throwing 4 interceptions.
Yeah, I mean Arizona. I mean, most will remember from the Denver days, but in Arizona, man, he was. Yeah, I mean, he was.
Yeah,
he was interesting to watch, to say the least.
That's Daniel Jones' rookie season.
Yeah,
I'll get in. Chris will talk about how you look at his numbers with Saquon Barkley, and I'm like, okay, but look at the teams that he played. Played Washington. He had 5 touchdowns. I mean, I said he played a lot of other games with Saquon Barkley's rookie season, but in 3 games against the Jets, the Lions, and Washington, he had 13 of his 24 touchdowns and no interceptions.
Yes, exactly.
So his stats you can skew stats any way you want, which is why I say you can use statistics and analytics for certain things. But at the end of the day, those are for losers. I don't care about yards. I don't care about touchdowns. I don't care about miles per hour, velocity, deep ball accuracy. I don't give a damn. Win the game. When the chips are down and you need a guy to bring you 85 yards or a touchdown, do it then. You can suck all game. I don't give a damn if you have no touchdowns and 3 interceptions going into that last drive. Go down there and win the game. That's all people are going to remember. They're not going to remember, hey, Daniel Jones had 114 yards and 3 interceptions. They're not going to look at that. They're going to go, that guy brought us down and won us the game. Yeah.
Well, I always say the same thing about stats because, it's everyone either loves Pro Football Focus or they hate it by whatever they're saying at that point in time. And I've said the same thing a million times. Stats can say anything. I mean, I always make the joke that in high school, I led when I played baseball, I led the team in 9th inning doubles with 2 outs in the month of September. What did that mean? That means nothing. That means nothing at all. But I had a question. This was interesting because you brought up Saquon Barkley and Daniel Jones. I said many times that if you take a look, the way that Saquon Barkley was put into the position by Eli Manning, it was the way he was reading the defense and it allowed him to succeed even behind a bad offensive line. Daniel Jones, to me, never put. I mean, if you look at the 2 best games that Saquon Barkley had during Daniel Jones's rookie season, it was because when Eli Manning was in the game. And I see you're already agreeing with me, so I'm not going to ask you the question, but I'm going to ask it anyways. I mean, how much do you think that was Eli putting him in the correct position and Daniel Jones being a rookie, not knowing exactly where to put that talent and what matchups he can create and where the mic is and everything else that allowed him to succeed in Saquon Barkley?
Couldn't agree more. I actually mentioned that. Not recently, but maybe it was a couple of years ago.
Yeah, I did a video beginning when I first started. I did one of the videos on that.
Because yes, that is a product of reading defenses. Because people are like, well, the offensive line sucks. That's why Barkley sucks. I'm like, do you think the 2018 offensive line was any good? No. And what happened? Barkley led the league in yards from scrimmage as a rookie behind a piss poor offensive line.
And that's what people seem to forget. There was no offensive line that rookie season.
That offensive line was terrible. Eric Flowers was still there.
Yeah.
Okay? That was a bad offensive line. But again, Eli Manning is an old pro. He can read the defense. He knows where the mic is. He knows where the blitz coming from. He's going to make the adjustments to the offensive line. He's going to change the blocking schemes. He's going to move the play around. He's going to say, okay, this is coming here, this is coming here. We're going to run a draw over this way. We're going to run it to the right side. We're going to run whatever. Daniel Jones has to get better at that. But that is a great point that a lot of people don't look at. Pre-snap reads are huge. That's a big part of what the quarterback does. But Peyton Manning was one of the best. Peyton Manning didn't need – your great quarterbacks don't even need calls. They will do it. Aaron Rodgers don't need to coach.
Nope.
Peyton Manning didn't need to coach. Drew Brees didn't need to coach. Tom Brady don't need a coach. These guys can do it on their own. They are coaches. They're smart. Daniel Jones is smart. Daniel Jones just has to learn how to read these defenses. But he's young. I'll give him an opportunity to do that. But right now, before he gets doing that, I want him to get more confidence in what he's doing out there instead of games. There's no doubt about it. Zuhaim, thanks so much, brother. Billy, what's going on, y'all? Would you guys put Gettleman in the top 10 of GMs in the league?
No. I mean, I would put him in the top 32. But I don't think I'm going to put him in. I can't put him in the top 10. I'm sorry.
Let me ask you this, okay? about Dave Gettleman. Some people, no matter what, are going to hate Dave Gettleman. Yep. They are going to hate him because of this or that, or they're just going to hate him. Well, he should have taken Quentin, armchair quarterback, Monday morning quarterback. Yeah, they should have done this. They should have done that. Yeah, I should have done a lot of things too that I didn't do. Looking back at him now, yeah, I should have done that. I should have done that. I did. You learn from it, right?
Yep.
Fair assessment of Dave Gettleman. Let me, you know what? Even a better question, because I see there's so many Giants fans that don't like him because he traded Odell Beckham. That is like a big hang up for some Giants fans. That Odell Beckham. He traded Odell Beckham. What are your thoughts on that Odell Beckham trade?
You know what?
I was happy, by the way.
I understood it at the time. A friend of mine called me, and I remember because I was actually moving the television into the bedroom and trying to hook it up, so I didn't see ESPN. And a friend of mine called me and said they traded him. I said okay, and he goes, "Well, why aren't you upset?" I was like, "Well, first of all, I don't get upset because of the fact that you made a trade and it is what it is." And I understood the talent. I didn't like the fact that they seemed to make the trade too quickly. Going back to the Knicks, it reminds me of the Porzingis trade. They wanted him out of town. The Mavs had the first offer. They just sent him. And I know a lot of people are like, well, San Francisco was willing to give up their higher first round pick. You don't know that was true.
Right.
And the talent they got back, Peppers is more than serviceable. You take a look at what we got with Dexter Lawrence. I mean, on the value of it, what has he done in Cleveland? Besides, everyone was like, well, he's going to be there with Landry. And I said it when he got traded, that him and Landry are not going to mesh. They're all buddy now with Blake, with old Blake, but there's only one ball and both of the guys went the ball. Yep. So I didn't understand giving him the money and then trading him. I understand why they did it because they felt he bashed the team, but you already knew he was a knucklehead. I mean, there was no secret when you paid him the cash, but I was fine with the deal. And I think they may have gotten more in return, but I think they were just trying to get out from what they perceived as the headache, because you also had the the Instagram thing with him and the model in France with the cigarette.
Yeah. Yes.
So I mean, I just think they were just looking to make that move, but I didn't hate Gettleman for it. I hated Gettleman for other reasons, and I don't hate Gettleman. I liked the hire because I thought he was going to help us get out of the issues that we had with the cap, but in some ways he created more issues with the cap itself. And I knew that if you take a look at Gettleman going back to Carolina, his free agent class outside of that 15-1 season were never spectacular. He got lucky and he hit on a bunch of, over the hill veterans that played great for one season, but he drafted well. He didn't draft fantastic. He drafted well. And I was hoping that's what he was going to do with the Giants. And if you take a look at that first draft, I graded out that first draft as like an A when that first happened. Now, if Will does this, if Barkley does this, maybe it's a C+. Yeah. I thought he would have drafted better. And I was hoping that he would make better decisions. And honestly, to your point, I never really thought about it. If Daniel Jones was more of an organizational pick, and same with Saquon Barkley, maybe outside of this last draft, he was not allowed to pick the talent that he wanted to have for the franchise. But
the first round, anyway, in my opinion.
Yeah. But I mean, I don't hate the man. I actually met Dave Gettleman a couple times because I spent a lot of time in the coaches club, so I'm on the sideline. So I've met him a couple times. Great guy. I have a couple of videos of film with him. And he's actually very cordial to the fans and just coming up and talking to you. Yeah. But like I said, from a free agent standpoint, outside of Bradbury and Blake Martinez, it's the same Gettleman that was in Carolina. I just wish that he would draft a little bit better. And last year I did not like the draft, and I did a whole video about it. And I got ripped for it because I said they snatched defeat out of the jaws of victory because of the fact that I thought every pick after the second round was a pick that was more of, we need to let that player grow and maturate. And I felt that we needed more pro-ready talent so we could actually win some games. That was my biggest knock on Gettleman, that he was drafting too much of 2 years, Matt. And I always laugh because I call him Matt from Connecticut because I remember WFAN, they have, right. Phil from the Bronx. That's why I always call him, Matt and Shane Lemieux. Yeah, to me, they were good picks, but maybe a little bit later in the draft. There could have been guys that were more, maybe you could have gone after like Nick Harris or someone like that could have been more pro ready, to come in and, Nick, of course, Nick really didn't start. But I just felt that he was more pro ready. And that's all I was looking for. Yeah, you want to draft your talent, which is awesome, but I didn't want progressional talent. I wanted immediate talent.
Yep. It's completely understandable. Real quick on the Odell Beckham thing. So my take on Odell Beckham, first and foremost, if you guys in the chat didn't notice, you can go to my page, then you can type in the search on my page, Odell Beckham trade him. March of 2018, I made a video. Actually, I have a video from September 2017. I got rid of it, but I don't have it anymore. I wanted Beckham traded after we lost to Dallas. I got killed for that. March 2018, you can go back and look. You can see all the weight I lost. My face is fat. I lost like 45 pounds since then. I'm in much better shape now, okay? But you go back and watch that video. I say that now I asked for too much in the video. I'm asking for Cleveland's number 4 and their number 32 or 34, whatever it was. But I say in that video, they should trade him to Cleveland for draft picks. And they traded him to Cleveland, which is kind of funny that I was 2 years ahead of the curve on that. My thing with the signing is I always felt like they signed him so they could trade him. Because if he was going to be able to walk, they weren't going to get as much value. I've always felt like because he was under contract that a team knew that they were going to have control of him for 4 years. And they didn't have to worry about taking him for 1 year and then he's going to walk out the door and go to a different team if he chooses to do so. Then with the way he reacted to Cleveland, saying they sent me there to die, he would have been gone.
Yeah.
So I always felt like teams that knew he was under contract for the next 4 years were to say, okay, we'll take Beckham for 4 years and we'll give you this knowing we're going to have him here for 4 years, as opposed to, well, we'll have him for 1 year and then we don't know where the hell he's going to go. We can offer him a contract. Maybe he says, to hell with you. I want to test the free agent market. So I always felt like, even though Gettleman says we don't trade talent, I always felt like they did sign him to trade him. I felt like that's why they did.
Do you think? I mean, there was no. Did you think that didn't come into the mind the ramifications of what was going to happen with the salary cap?
I mean, they did eat the dead cap. I also kind of wondered to myself, did they know? Maybe not Daniel Jones, but did they know in 2019 they were drafting a quarterback and they didn't want Odell Beckham influencing a rookie quarterback? Because you heard all the crap he said about Eli. Eli is a pro. Eli took it in stride. Eli don't give a damn. Like Eli Manning said, "Hey, I won a couple of games without him here. I won a couple big games without him here." But with a rookie quarterback, might have been completely different if Odell Beckham's in your ear saying, "Do this, do this, do this, do this, do this, do this," or bad mouths his quarterback in the media. So there's a lot that went into that Odell Beckham.
Well, there's the whole thing like with Shockey. With Eli Manning, everyone was like, we got to get rid of Shockey because how is he, what is he going to do with Eli? We wouldn't have won that Super Bowl if Shockey didn't get hurt. You know what I mean? Right. So I never heard someone say we wouldn't win a Super Bowl when one of your star players gets hurt. We wanted him to get hurt. But to your point, it's the same way. I did think about that. I haven't really thought about it recently. Yeah, maybe it was a organizational decision that you're right. We don't need this guy talking into the ear. And that year it could have potentially been Sam Darnold, Josh Rosen. It could have been someone like that saying, we don't need him talking into this guy's ear saying, hey, get me the ball every 15 minutes.
Right. So it's interesting. Zachary, thanks so much, brother. Brilly says Colt McCoy had some of the best pre-snap reads in the league the 2 games he played. Seattle game was a beautiful unicorn. I hope Pat Graham evolves. It's a great point. How good was Wayne Gallman in that game? Ran for 190 yards.
Yeah.
In that game. Wayne Gallman.
Yeah.
Wayne Gallman.
And that's all you have to say.
And yeah, Colt McCoy ain't fooling anybody with an RPO. He ain't running like Daniel Jones. That game was really a beautiful unicorn. That was, and I actually put something on Instagram earlier that day, a big picture of Leonard Williams, just a close up of his face. And I said to Russell Wilson, I said, get a good look at this face. You're gonna see it a lot today. And sure as shit, he had 3 sacks or 2.5 sacks in that game. That was the best game Leonard Williams played, man.
Oh yeah.
That was fun. That was
a game. That was, you thought again. You know what? That gave us hope.
Teased us.
Yeah, that was not good. That was. I'm not happy about that still, but that's okay. I got over it eventually.
Yeah, we always do. Zoo8, thanks so much, my man. Brilly says, what do you think about BJ Hill? I think he's a potential candidate to blow up next season. Good pass rushing skills too. We definitely draft a defensive tackle at some point. What do you think about BJ Hill?
I don't know if BJ is going to be on the team. I mean, he had that moments in his rookie season. He couldn't get on the field. And it's one of those things that, especially in the NFL, if you have talent, you're going to find a way onto the field. And when people like O'Shane Zimenez and are taking your steps, and I know BJ is more of a defensive tackle, but when they went to certain sets, I don't know. I think he's slightly I think he's a tweener. I mean, is he a defensive end? Is he a defensive tackle? I mean, Leonard Williams to me he could be either or. Yep. I don't think you're going to get as much out of him if you put him on the edge, but I think you get more if you keep him in the middle. BJ Hill to me is the same way. You got to play him in the interior, and with Dexter Lawrence and Leonard Williams, and people forget about Austin Johnson. Austin Johnson's a run stopper, and you got Sheldon. So I mean, is he going to be a rotational player? Do we want to pay him to be a rotational player, or can we bring in somebody else that we may need to cut? We may need to carry an extra linebacker. We may need to carry an actual defensive back, not a quasi safety linebacker. Right. So, I mean, I hope he makes the team, but again, he's another early Gettleman pick that him and Lorenzo Carter. Are they even going to make the team? Now, Carter's more because of injury, but are they even going to make the team in 2021?
Right. Yeah. It's a great question. There's going to be a lot of competition there. Authentic's in the chat. I always like to shout out Authentic. He's a big OBJ. This guy loves Odell Beckham. So this is my hang up with Odell Beckham. He says, real thing is people just don't like OBJ as a person. You can't deny his skills. He's number 2 in every Giants wide receiver category behind Juma. I don't give a shit how they are as people. Okay, win the football game. I don't know him. He's never going to affect my life whatsoever. Don't care. I met Strahan, or didn't meet him, but I went to train. I mean, they trained in Albany, New York from 1996 to 2012. I was there every year. 17 years I went to training camp. Strahan was the biggest asshole you ever want to meet. He was an asshole. Plain and see, the guy was a dick. The guy's still a dick. Yep. Okay? But I didn't care. The guy was great in the field. I always said, people are like, Odell Beckham's this, Odell Beckham. I'm like, I don't care. Score touchdowns. He did do that. But this is the thing. Those statistics mean nothing. How many playoff games did we win? See, Monty Toomer won a Super Bowl. Victor Cruz won a Super Bowl. How many playoff games did Odell Beckham win? And you can say that's a product of the team and this and that. Yeah, but that's the thing. If the team is bad, you can't give the receiver $95 million for 5 years, 90 million, whatever it was, for 5 years. There's so many other holes. That was the problem. And the Giants had to alleviate that cap. And I know they got rid of the dead cap, but they needed more draft capital because they were bringing in a new quarterback. That's my thing. They needed draft capital. Not only did they get the draft capital, they were able to sign guys like Blake Martinez and James Bradbury with the money that they saved from Odell Beckham. So he ended up being worth 4 players. That was what I didn't. It's not like I didn't like Odell Beckham. I have an Odell Beckham jersey. I loved what Beckham was the most exciting. He was the reason to watch the Giants.
I have an autographed picture of the catch, but you know what? He's got more boat trips than he does playoff wins.
There you go.
I mean, so you got to leave. And I never cared of the kicking net and all the other crap on the sidelines. That never bothered me. Anything else that went on. But you're right. If you're not winning on the field, it doesn't. I don't care if you're spending $90 million on a wide receiver and if you're going to finish 5-11.
Right. That was the thing with me. Everybody talked about that great catch. They lost that game.
Yeah,
that's all.
No one ever talks about, though.
They let it up at the end. Tony went down. They lost the game. They blew a 21-10 lead. That's not Beckham's fault, but they lost the game. That was my point. That's my point in Beckham. They didn't win. They had 3 really bad seasons here. Now, granted, he did get hurt in 2017. He missed most of the year.
Yeah, injuries.
He was injured a lot. He was injured his rookie season with a hamstring. He was injured his 2017 with a broken ankle. He was injured in 2018 with a quad contusion or whatever the hell it was. I think he played 1 full season. Now, granted, he played 15 games and 1 year. He got suspended in 2015 for the whole Josh Norman thing. So
that bothered me.
Yeah, that bothered me too because I felt like he let Josh Norman get in his head a little bit. So I don't know. Again, it's not like I didn't like Odell Beckham, but I understood why they needed to move him. And I was all for moving him for that reason. Because I said this in the video. I'm pretty sure I said this in this video, in that video where I said trade him. If you have 6 holes in a boat and you only have a certain amount of caulk or whatever to plug the holes up, do you want to take all the caulk you have and put it in 1 hole? Or do you want to kind of spread the caulk out and put it in 4 holes?
Yep.
Which way is the boat going to sink faster? If you're putting everything in one hole, but you have 5 other massive holes in the boat's going right down to the ground. If you take some of it and spread it out, it's going to sink a little bit. It's going to sink a lot less quickly. So you also would have an opportunity to fill the other holes before the boat hits the bottom. That was my point with Odell Beckham. I loved Odell Beckham. Big Odell Beckham fan. Stuck up for Odell Beckham all the damn time. All of his antics, I laughed at him. I wasn't like, oh, this guy's an ass. Get him off the team. I just felt like it was time for him to go. I felt like that move needed to be made. And I always will give myself a little credit because I never do that. That I said he should go to Cleveland, and that's where he went. And I will always hang my hat on that and say, look at that. That was way before it happened.
Hey, I'm still taking credit for Andrew Thomas and Matt Rule. So.
Yes, you did. Yeah, you did. You did. You know, it's funny you mentioned Matt Rule because I was all about Matt Rule. I wanted that. Yeah, well, I love the way he turned the college programs around. Temple, Baylor. I said, this guy can coach, right? They signed Joe Judge. Like, he didn't come here and I'm like, what an ass. The guy was about money. They signed Joe Judge. I don't know anything about Joe Judge, so I'm not going to sit here and get mad. I wasn't mad. I just didn't know anything about him.
Right. I think it was the same way.
Once I heard Joe Judge's press conference and I heard Matt Rule's presser, I said, we made the right pick. And I'm pretty sure, if I'm not mistaken, I did a video. And I say in the video, or it might even be titled, is it a blessing in disguise that we missed Matt Rule? And I think it is. I think Joe Judge is the guy for New York. I love his football philosophy. He's learned from 2 of the best. The guy's no nonsense. People want to play for him. His team played hard for him. That's what a coach does. This coaching staff got the most out of their players last year.
They did.
That is what Belichick did. That is what Parcells did. Your best coaches, no matter how good or bad your talent is, will scheme their game plan around your player strengths. That's what makes coaches great. Talent helps, but if you don't have the right coach to get the most out of that talent, he sucks. I feel like this coaching staff gets the most out of the Giants. That's why they were in every game last year. I love the coaching staff.
I mean, like I said, the big 3, yeah. I mean, when Judge was hired, was I like, oh, we hired Joe Judge? I was the same way. Well, who the hell is Joe Judge? I mean, but then you think, there are special team coaches that have come in and won Super Bowls. So it's one of those things, though. But as a Giant fan, I know I was under the philosophy that we're New York. We should have our pick of coaches. We should have guys fighting to come to New York City. Right. It's like the Knicks. Even when they were bad, you always thought we would get that big name. We got Riley once, but then you get Joe Judge, and it's like, it's Joe Judge. I mean,
right?
What is Joe Judge? And I have to say, he's exceeded any expectations that I thought that he would accomplish in this first season. And now I do think a lot of, and I got blasted for this because I think a lot of what he does is psychological, and that's what Belichick does. I'm like, the whole thing with him going after the ball in the mud and all that, and everyone was like, "Oh, look, he's just a guy that everyone could just rally around." No, that was all psychological. That was all planned because of the fact that he's just showing that he's one of the guys. But if you watch Dalvin Tomlinson with the hose, Dalvin Tomlinson takes that hose and shoots Joe Judge in the face as he's sliding. So it's almost like a quasi. Yeah, I understand what you're doing, but you kind of still were an ass, these last 4.5 weeks.
Well, listen. Bill Parcells took the Gatorade because he was an ass.
Well, yeah, but also he won.
So I know, but they gave that to him before he won.
Yeah. Well, well, I'm not going to interrupt you. Well, I am going to interrupt you, but most people don't. Your point about him being an ass, I always interrupt people. I mean, everyone thinks it's Harry Carson that started that. No, it was Jim Burt. Jim Burt rode. I mean, Parcells rode Jim Burt's ass all week. Yep. And Jim Burt actually dunked the Gatorade on him because, kind of to your point, saying, you know what, you want to be an ass? Here you go. This is what you're going to do. And then it kind of turned into the whole Harry Carson thing. But
it turned into what every team does now.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
There's another thing that the New York Giants invented, the Gatorade bath.
The spike.
Oh, I didn't know.
Homer Jones is actually the inventor of the spike, wide receiver back in the 60s. He is the first one to actually spike the ball in the end zone. And he didn't really do it like you see now, but he's actually the founder or the father of the spike.
Yeah, we're one hell of a franchise, man.
Yeah, I know.
Hardy came from this franchise. Landry came from this. Pretty
awesome. People forget that too. People forget the coaching staff in the 60s and the 50s, some of the guys that we had.
Yeah. Yeah, this that's why it's time to get back into your Giants football, man. This is one of the most legendary franchises there is. The history is unbelievable. And who's the kicker? Pete Gogolak.
Yeah.
He was the first guy to transfer from the AFL to the NFL.
Yeah.
And his first soccer style kicker. Right? So we have a lot of first year with the Giants. It's a good thing. But Tim, I'm not going to take up any more time. I told you an hour and a half. We've been going 2.5 hours.
Oh my God! Oh, there's a clock up here. That's how savvy I am with this.
If I wasn't looking at that, I wouldn't know. But I just want to say again, man, I appreciate you coming on. This was awesome. I mean, like I said, I love being able to talk with a guy that knows his history and just, like I said, going back to some of the stories that I know as a kid, where, like I said, a lot of guys that I collab with, they're a lot younger than me, so they haven't had that experience. And this was awesome. And
I appreciate you having me on.
Let's do it again sometime.
Definitely, most definitely. And like I said, I appreciate you having me on. I've always never really wanted to do streams, but I got into it now recently, and I see just from doing this, and I've never done a stream for 2.5 hours. But even doing this, and like I said, I could see how you can get so involved, and I'm trying to read all the chats because I see Isaac Yitem, because everyone knows I love Isaac Yitem. I still haven't raised any money for his bus ticket until, or I'm not gonna leave him on 95, but I really do appreciate you having me on. This was fun. This was fantastic. You've been doing this, I guess longer than anyone else. It was just a great opportunity, and I really do appreciate you just allowing me to sit down and talk Giants for a couple of hours.
Yeah, definitely, man. Like I said, we'll have to do it again for sure. So one last time, if you guys haven't done so, online Big Blue Sports Entertainment, link in the description. Make sure you guys click on that thing, sub them up, show them some love. And as always, let's go Giants. For online Big Blue Sports Entertainment, it's your boy, the Bad Diggity Dizzle. Have a great night, everybody. We are gone. Peace.